Yo, what's up everybody? Today is the date of June 14th of 2026. I hope we're doing well. Real quick, let me change the donator there. My bad. I'm actually going to honor our WTF sent 5 memberships last night right as I was logging off. So I wasn't able to put it there, so now it's there, ladies and gentlemen. We got you, WTF, we got you. Anyways, how are we doing today, guys? I hope we are doing well. We are here for another day of MAGA debates as the right continues to cope. Hey, Dylan Thomas, thank you for the 2-month membership there, man. That's huge. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Anyways, we are looking for those that disagree. We've got an interesting question that for the poll today. Who would win in a fight, Hunter Biden or Eric Trump? I personally think Hunter Biden is smashing the lights out of Eric any day of the week. Personally, that's just what I think. Anyways, guys, feel free to call in. My number is right there if you disagree. And if you don't disagree, if you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to hit a like and subscribe. I do 2 shows every day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. So if that interests you guys, don't forget to hit that like button and that sub button, folks. Anyways, it's an interesting day. I just put out a short for all of you guys that are more fans of the shorts about... Apparently, Donald Trump is threatening, or giving a warning, I guess, to both Israel and Iran, saying they better not screw it up. Now, obviously, this comes before the most important event in our nation's history. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It comes right before the 250 boxing or UFC match. I mean... You know, why does the Middle East have to be so problematic while one of the most important things in American history is going on? You know? Sorry, I know that was loud. I had to move my chair. My apologies. My apologies. Trump just got a deal! Yeah, I'm sure he did. How many times has he had a deal before? I'm sure of it, guys. I'm sure this deal will last. Just like the last one, right, guys? Just like the last one. Yeah, and I wouldn't quite call a memorandum of understanding a peace deal, my friends. Very embarrassing. And this is, you know... I bought some different nicotine pouches, and they taste like Sharpie. Just gonna be completely honest. Anyways. Yeah, how many times have we been in this situation before where Trump's like, oh, I got a deal, guys, it's coming. And then it just never comes. And then the worst part about this, in my opinion, is that, you know, the deal doesn't involve Lebanon. So obviously there's going to be fighting between Israel and Lebanon. And it's just going to lead to a reignition of the entire conflict. So I think that's a problem. And not a real solution that's going to lead to anything. But if you disagree, feel free to call in and tell me why I'm wrong. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do 2 shows every day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. So good to see you on I'm not celebrating Trump's birthday. I go live every day, so this is nothing new, my friend. No, Israel botched it again. Here we go, right? Like, Jesus, bro. Donald Trump does not know how to show true leadership. It's embarrassing. He has no idea how to negotiate these very tense deals. And I think that's sad for our country. I think we're going to be in this conflict for the rest of his term, probably. Because his pride is going to get in the way of any meaningful deal. But if you disagree, feel free to call in. Anyways, guys, yeah, I know the 250 fight is tonight. Isn't that exciting? The most important event in America's history, folks. The signing of the Declaration of Independence could never stand up to how monumental this occasion is. Anyways, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the stream. For the first 2 hours, we typically just allow an open forum and an open discussion. And then around the 2-hour mark, I like to get into the news. So that's not how it always happens. Sometimes we get in a debate lock, I guess, stun lock. But we're hoping not to get into that today. We had some pretty fiery discussions yesterday. I won't lie. I'm so sick of the excuses. I really am. Like, when are you going to grow up and stop making excuses for a grown-ass man? It's embarrassing. You'd think they have, like, think they have something on them. Hey, what's up, Shavila? Good to see you. You blame Trump for everything. No, I don't. Although Trump is a contributing factor to a lot of the problems we have, I also blame the Republicans. So, my blame isn't just for the Donald. It's also for the Republicans. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Trump is kind of to blame for a lot of the stuff right now, so... the cope is unreal from some of these Trump supporters, guys. It really is. He said it himself. He could go outside and shoot somebody, and his cult would still support him. Anyways, guys, feel free to call in. We are looking for those that still somehow support this weak administration. Can you even call it an administration? They've got so many vacancies because people have just quit. It's very concerning. It's very concerning. Anyways, guys, don't forget to vote in the poll. Who would win in a cage match? Eric Trump or Hunter Biden? Hunter on top, just decimating Eric right now. Not a single vote for Eric Trump, poor guy. Well, I think we all know how it would go down if Hunter and Eric were in a ring. It's over. Eric's calling for Daddy. Daddy Trump! Daddy Trump! Oh yeah, Markwayne Mullin. Don't get me started on that guy. That guy is so aggressive. He wanted to beat the shit out of just some random union worker. He's a scary guy. He is a scary guy. But I understand why Donald Trump got rid of Kristi Noem. After the images of her husband came out, how can you be in the Trump administration? How can you be in the Trump administration? Also, she was rocked with scandals, apparently sleeping with one of her own staffers. So, understandable, but the replacement is even worse. Markwayne Mullin? No, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. I don't think that's a good image to have for the person leading ICE, but I am not in charge of this administration, so I can't make those decisions. Anyways, guys, feel free to call in. We are looking for those that still somehow support this anemic administration. But the Democrats will not fix anything. See, this is something I fight against very hard. Please point to me how the Democrats won't fix anything. You have nothing to believe that. As a matter of fact, all of the evidence actually points to the Democrats fixing things. We look at Joe Biden's term. We look at Obama's term. All of these were essentially cleaning up the mess left by the Republicans. I look like depression personified? Well, I'm happy, man. So, I don't know, man. See, and Adam is so sad that, you know, he knows that his guy that he's backing is failing. So all he can do is just insult and complain. I mean, seriously, Ashes in Scripture, why don't you point to how where's your evidence that the Democrats wouldn't do better? Cleaning up as in letting illegal immigrants in. How many illegal immigrants came under Joe Biden's tenure? Adam, please, man. I know you're a sad individual. I know your face hasn't seen the light of day since, before time in memoriam, but please, we understand that it's hard to exist in a society like, I don't even know, man. 40 million. Wow, 40 million, ladies and gentlemen. So hold on, we went from 330 million individuals in the United States to 390 million or 70 million in the United States. I mean, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Much like most of the conservatives in my chat. Embarrassing and inept. The question is how many now? You're wrong, Robert. There's still about, well, the numbers aren't confirmed or concrete because Donald Trump is so intent at kicking these people out, but he's created about 500,000 illegal immigrants by canceling temporary protected status. Like, who needs illegal immigrants coming across the border when you can just make illegal immigrants out of thin air? Zika virus is live again? Does dude not have a job? Listen, man, I am blessed to be able to come on here every day and talk about politics. It's because of a few smart financial decisions I made in my life, so I am blessed. I am blessed. Well, we got our first caller.
Call from
Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. So do you disagree with anything I've said on the live so far or with the prompt?
What was the prompt?
Trump and the Republicans screwed America and Democrats will fix it in 2028.
How do you plan on fixing it?
By implementing laws that will actually benefit the average American. For example, healthcare is a real issue right now. And so I believe a public option is best to lower healthcare prices and lower these premiums.
Do you think after Obamacare, you guys can be trusted with fixing healthcare?
Well, at least we've tried, unlike you, your side. Your side hasn't even tried.
Oh.
Isn't that embarrassing? Like, most of Americans deal with healthcare problems, and yet your side hasn't even proposed a solution. So,
well, maybe if we didn't have so many Somalian women stealing money
do you
at the
see how
Leering
that's a
centers,
pivot?
you know?
Do you see how that's a pivot?
I'm just saying.
No,
if you
you're
want to find
pivoting.
some money, we should start with the
No,
Leering
bro,
centers.
you're pivoting. Let's talk about healthcare if you want to talk about healthcare. You don't want to. I know you don't want to.
Well, no one does after Dr. Fauci and the boosters and everything. Like,
so we should just
anybody
let
wanna
people
talk about
die,
it?
right? We should just let people die. That's a good.
No, but I
solve.
don't think I should pay for illegals to suck off our system and get
Well,
free
it's a good thing
healthcare.
you don't pay for illegals to suck off our system. Now, isn't it?
What do you do for a living?
Why does that matter?
What do you do?
Why
No,
does
I'm
that
just wondering,
matter?
like, what do you do for 9 to 5?
Sir, I don't see how that is very relevant
Well, I'm
to the
just saying, I work a
conversation.
9 to 5, so
That's great to
I
hear.
pay
Do you
into the
want to? Do
system.
you want
Like, I'm
I
just wondering, like,
probably
how
pay
much do
more
you
into the
pay?
system than you.
Oh, I'd love to see your tax returns.
Yeah,
I'd
I'll
love
be
to.
posting
Just like
them
I'd love to
at the end of the
see
year.
so many
At
of
the
the
end of
Democrats' tax returns.
I'll be posting them at
Nancy
the end of
Pelosi
this
up there.
year. I'll be posting them, so you can stay tuned and see my tax returns if you want,
Wow.
man.
Are you almost a millionaire?
I'm not going to discuss that with you. It's not
Oh, he doesn't want
apparent
to
to the
discuss he's a millionaire.
conversation.
Yeah, because you know your followers will tear you apart. We must
Why-
end him.
Why would they
We
tear me
must
apart?
have no
if-
millionaires.
No, I don't believe people believe that. I believe they don't believe in billionaires and trillionaires, but your average person can become a millionaire if they save, right?
Well,
So is any of
we all know
anything
that.
you've said just
we all
that-
know
is
that's
anything
not true,
you've
but
said
you
just
can
that's
believe
not
saving
true?
money like
Really?
adds
So
up,
a
but
teacher,
we both
so a
believe that.
teacher who pays like 30% of their income into a 401k, they can't become a millionaire?
What's the interest rate on an average checking account or
See,
savings
a
account?
checkings account and a savings account, you don't have
What's
an
the
interest rate.
rate?
There's no interest rate on a checkings account, dipshit.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. Please show me
I
the
don't think
bank
that's
that
true.
has. Please show me the bank that has interest on checkings accounts. Please, I'd love to see
Well,
it.
okay, so savings. What's the interest on savings?
It's totally dependent on what bank you use.
So you don't know, like what an average.
Oh, you're
interest
asking for
rate
the
is at a-
average, or are you asking for
I'm
the
okay,
definitive
dude. Like,
rate? Yeah, bro,
no,
you're asking
you're right.
dumbass
Savings
questions.
accounts are
You're
making everybody
asking,
rich.
bro,
Everybody's
you are
rich
asking some
opening
of the
savings
dumbest
accounts at the
questions I've
credit
ever
unions, bro.
heard. You're asking some of the dumbest questions. Like, I'm not your bank teller, man. Go to your bank teller and ask those questions. I'm here to talk about politics.
No, I'm just okay. No, I want to ask a liberal man. Ask you. How do you
Well,
make money in this day and age?
It's a good
How do I
thing.
grow
It's
my
a
money?
good thing. It's a good thing that we're not talking about that now, isn't it? Now, do you want to be
No,
an
I just
adult
want, I
and
just
talk
want
about?
economic
Do you
advice
want to
from
be
the
an
guy that
adult?
seems to
Do you
know
want to
how
be
to
an
make all this
adult?
money.
Do you want to be an adult and talk about what you called in, or are you going to be a petulant child and continue to be jealous that I'm in a better position?
Okay,
than
so
you?
we won't talk about economics. What did you want to talk about? You want to talk about the
I thought we
healthcare
were
system
talking about healthcare. That yeah,
Okay.
I would like to bring it back to the original topic of conversation before you started pocket watching.
Yep, I don't know what that means. That must be some liberal shit. I don't know what that is.
No, well, you're doing it, so I hope you learn.
Is that? I
That's
don't
when
know
you
what that is.
that's when you obsess over somebody's money.
No, I
That's
just, I wanna
weird,
see the
isn't it?
tax
That's
return.
weird. Like I didn't ask you how much money you make. That's weird, bro.
Well, because you don't want to talk about the fact that I actually work a job, and you sit on here asking.
Listen, man,
retard
I'm
questions.
sorry I've made
Yeah.
the smart financial decisions in my life to set
Oh, of
myself
course
up
you
so I
have.
can do this
You're
every
a
day.
genius. You and your liberal party of communists are all geniuses.
So you
dude.
notice how you're just soying out about how much smarter we are than you. Like, I'm sorry, man.
No, you are.
Do you want
guys
me?
are very smart.
Listen, man.
You're so
I'm not
smart.
here.
You're
Okay.
boosted with Bill Gates sauce. You're so smart.
Boosted with Bill Gates sauce. What does that mean?
Bill Gates sauce. Remember, Bill Gates got on the news and said, "You got to take this shot. We really need you guys to take the shot." And then you guys
No.
gave him a doctorate and made him a doctor during the
No, I
pandemic. You don't remember that?
No,
You don't
I
remember
don't.
Bill Gates becoming a doctor? No.
So
Okay.
are you?
Yeah.
Is our government based around Bill Gates, sir? No,
I
it's
don't know.
not. Is it? It's
but
not.
apparently
Is
he became a
it?
doctor during 2020 when you guys were
All
glued
right,
to the
so
television.
this is just this is classic for conservatives. So don't worry, you're not alone in this. You're just bringing up
I know I'm not
grievances
alone.
and things that hurt
I
your
know,
feelings.
believe me, I know I'm not alone. There's
I
plenty of
know,
MAGA
I know.
out
You're
there.
just bringing up grievances and things that hurt your feelings rather than actually talking about a topic. It's very
Well,
common.
what did you want to talk about? The
I've been
corrupt,
trying to bring you back to
system?
healthcare for the past 5 topics, man. You don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it, and neither does your party, and I understand why, because they don't have a
because
solution.
you guys lied about everything during COVID, so no one wants
Lied
to talk
about
that. No one even
everything.
wants to go to the hospital. Last time I was at the doctor,
That's
they
not
were wearing
true.
masks again. I'm like, what is this?
Oh my God, they were wearing masks in a place that has communicable diseases? Whoa.
Not all of them, only certain ones.
All right, so I
But I'm
really
sure you
don't
think
know
that's
how to address
intelligent,
those
right? Because
grievances.
Susie
of
can wear a
yours.
mask, but Bill 3 feet away doesn't need a mask. And you can
See,
wear your
look,
mask standing,
again,
but if
man,
you're
you're
sitting eating
just
a
bitching
cheeseburger at
about things
McDonald's,
that
then
hurt
you
your
don't need a mask.
feelings. Listen,
But wear
I'm not
two
your
masks.
sir.
Wear two
Can you
masks
grow
because
up?
2 masks are
Sir,
more
can you
effective.
grow up? Like, seriously.
What
You're
do you
acting
mean
like a
grow up,
child.
dude? This
You're
is
acting like a
history.
child.
This happened. You just don't
Yeah,
want to
but
talk
it's
about it
yes,
because you
I
guys
understand.
took every
Bro,
jibby
I'm not
jab
here,
and
dude. Do you
believed
want?
all the
Okay, tell
time.
you what. Let's talk about the Great Depression since we're just talking about the past. Do you want to talk about the Great Depression?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's a stupid point that wasn't even relevant to what I'm talking about.
Oh, you don't want to talk about the Great Depression? You just brought it up. I thought you wanted to actually.
Yeah, I was bringing up
Oh.
something that was equally as unimportant to the conversation.
Wow, you're a
Yeah,
stellar
I
interviewer.
feel like you don't want to have a conversation, man. I feel like you just want to bitch and moan, and like you can do that at a therapist.
I'm not bitching and moaning, dude. My candidate
The
got
past
elected. My
3
shit's getting
fucking.
done. I'm not bitching and moaning, dude.
Yeah, are you excited for his
Believe
lame
me.
duck presidency when we
Ice,
take
baby.
the?
Ice, baby.
Are you happy about deportations being down 22%?
Being down?
Yes.
Well, I would assume they would taper off once all the, remember during the Biden
Oh, all the
administration, those
illegal
people at the
immigrants
border
are
that were
gone?
like, you will
Hold
find out
on,
who I am.
sir. You said, wait, so all the illegal immigrants are gone now? That doesn't make sense.
Well, I thought we're just going after the violent ones, right? It's
I
just that we
I don't
just want
think he's
the
got
violent
all the
ones. We
violent
don't want
ones.
the
I don't
ones
think he's
that
got all
can
the
work
violent
on our
ones.
fields.
I don't think he's got all the violent ones, sir.
We don't want the ones that'll, like do the crops and stuff and all the stuff the liberals don't want to do.
Yeah,
like
see,
clean the
here
toilets.
again, just grievances, not actually bringing
Who's gonna
up
cut?
anything.
Who's gonna cut liberals' lawns, dude? If we don't have Mexicans,
Do you think that was a good argument? I'm seriously asking.
it's not my argument. That's your guys' argument. Our
Do you
argument
think-
was, no,
do
we
you
need
think
to
my
deport illegals.
question-
And your
hold
argument
on.
was, we need them here to flip burgers and clean toilets.
Did I ever say that, sir?
That was what you guys pretty much said. You said we.
You
need them
guys,
here.
you're
They're
generalizing. I understand that your brain
yeah.
cannot comprehend more than like 2 people at a time, but I'm not that person that you have that secondary position that you have in your head, sir.
I know.
You are talking to a different person. Did you know that? Did you know everybody, like, people have differing opinions? Did you know that about humans?
Okay, so why do we need migrants here?
Why do we need migrants
Why
here?
do we need illegal migrants here?
Well, I don't think we necessarily need them, but I do think they provide a valuable service in making our, obviously doing jobs that the American population have shown they're not interested in doing.
Ah, there it is. Listen
You
up,
know
folks.
Trump agrees
He
with
said it
me,
himself.
right?
He just
You know
said
Trump
it
agrees
himself.
with me, right?
Listen up, folks. It comes out of the goose's
All right,
mouth.
here we go.
Right out of the
He's-
goose's
yeah.
mouth, guys.
And your rebuttal for that is?
I don't need. What do you mean? My point was proven. I don't need a rebuttal. You just proved my point. You agreed with
Sir,
me.
I don't recommend calling into these shows in the future. You're ass at actually arguing a point.
But but my points don't need to be argued because when you discuss them, like usually conservative points make sense.
Really?
Like what I just said to you, I go, you guys want them here to do all the jobs you guys are too lazy to do, and you're like, no. That's
Why don't
not
you
true.
go
And
out and
you
do
just
that
admitted.
job? Why don't you go out and do those
I
jobs,
have
sir?
done jobs. I've worked junk
Really?
jobs, moving jobs. I've worked construction. I've worked all sorts of jobs.
What do you do right now, sir? Actually, that's not important. Never mind. Well, you really haven't convinced me on anything. Don't you want to convince people? Like,
Yeah, don't ask me what I do for work, because then you'd have to actually discuss working, and then that would be uncomfortable.
yeah, I've never worked
know
a
what I
day
mean?
in my life, right?
No, I don't know what you've done.
I know you
know?
haven't. But
Maybe you worked at an ice
kind of
cream
have
shop
this
or like a candy store, or maybe
you kind of
worked
got
at,
this
like, a hair
vibe
salon
of
or,
like
a nail
being
salon
very
or some shit. I don't know.
judgmental, and it's like I've probably done harder jobs than you, sir.
Name one.
I used to work at a pallet packing facility.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, man, I'm gonna let you go. I think you're just ass at
All right, yeah.
actually debating, and if you actually want
Okay.
like to bring up points that are convincing, I recommend reading a book
No,
or
I don't
something
have points.
before.
I just have questions for the left because I just want to know like what your guys' plan
No,
is
you
for the
don't.
future because
No,
I don't
you
see a
don't.
plan.
Sir,
Yeah,
no,
I
you
don't see a
don't.
plan.
Stop being
I do.
disingenuous. You're
I
embarrassing.
have a question. I have a genuine question right now.
Boom. Go.
Go. Hey, I would love. This is a question I was thinking about the other day. I would love to ask AOC. You know, or
Yeah,
like
it's
anyone
gonna
from
be
your
some
party.
weird sexualized comment. Here we go.
No, it's not. What do you mean sexualized comment? No, I
You
just
guys
love
are
to ask them, like,
incredibly you
what
have
is, listen,
sexual
can I
repression,
say it, or
sir.
are you gonna just keep cutting?
You know, now that I think about it, no, you can't. What a fucking loser. Oh my god, bro. Learn to actually debate. Learn how to actually respond to points. So embarrassing, man. Anyways, feel free to call in and tell me why I'm wrong. I see a lot of cope in chat, and that's pretty typical of MAGA. Unfortunately, the great copening is very frequent amongst these callers. But if you disagree, feel free to call in and tell me why I'm wrong. What an embarrassing... That was a clinic. That was a clinic on how to deal with idiot MAGA. Just ran a goddamn clinic, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, Pokemon Guy 666. Usually we do have very good debates. Unfortunately, just that was a brain dead individual, and that's kind of how it happens with MAGA. Anyways, I think it's extremely sad to see the copening in my chat right now. A lot of conservatives upset with Donald, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Not MAGA, you retard! You suck! Thank you, I appreciate that. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if that interests you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, alright, Ricky, I understand you are sexually obsessed with me. I get it, man. MAGA made everything better. That's true. Yeah, I know. The spamming is crazy. This is a great channel. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Anyways, guys, feel free to call in. Tell me why I'm wrong. You know, we are here to debate the further right of us. Unfortunately, it's a lot of Trump devotion syndrome right now. A lot of Trump devotion syndrome. But apparently, guys, you guys can get help by typing 8647 into your phone and calling that number. I heard from a grapevine, if you type 8647 into your phone, you can get help for that Trump derangement syndrome. These idiots, maybe a few cult members will see the light. Well, I really have, I feel like I've changed a lot of people's minds. So, that's why I come out here every day. Luckily, I am in the position where I can come out here every day and talk about politics. And I'm very blessed for that. Trump devotion? The left can't mean for shit. How are they going to fix it? By implementing policies that actually help your average American person. Oh, got another call.
Call from
Henry.
to accept.
Yeah. Hey, Henry, how are you doing today? You okay? Okay. Did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far? Okay. So do you believe Trump and the Republicans are doing well?
Well, not really. But I'm no fan of the left or the liberals or the idiots that are putting in that are communists. So
Yeah, I'm not a communist. I am a liberal, though. Do you know the difference between the two?
Well, in fairness,
You can
probably I don't have the best definition. If you want the
No,
truth.
you're good, brother. Don't worry. So, a liberal is somebody that does believe in privatization, but really values democracy and just institutions in general. To whereas a communist believes that we need to take control of the means of production and distribute it amongst the population. I don't believe in that. I think that would never
That's
work
cool.
in America, and it's definitely not healthy.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I
Yeah,
just, you know, it just seems like the left is going farther and farther right. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Trump's policies either. I mean, I think his whole Iran, I don't know, it's just turning into a debacle. I don't think they will ever, they may sign a peace agreement. I don't think they're actually ever going to adhere to that. So it looks like
yeah,
another endless war.
it's kind of the feeling I have, unfortunately. I do think it's difficult to say right now, I'll be honest. The way the winds are blowing, it could go anyway right now. Apparently there's a peace agreement, but yeah, a memorandum of understanding, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I haven't heard
Yeah.
of that before, but anyways,
It's
man,
it's nonsense.
yeah, I agree.
It's just
Anyways, you seem like a cool dude,
I
and what's up?
no, it just seems like things have gone so far off track, and really neither party is really taking care of their constituents. It seems like all they want to do is get into Washington, gain power, and get rich, and they don't give a crap about the
Yeah, no,
everyday
I
person.
understand. I completely understand that
And it's
feeling.
both
I've
sides.
no, I
I
do
mean,
think personally the Republicans take a little more or a lot more in donations, but I agree there is a problem with money in our politics. That's why I support the Democrats because they support a plan that would remove Citizens United, remove that ruling, and therefore not allow any PAC money to be in politics. And I think that can be bipartisan. I don't think it just has to be a Democrat effort.
yeah. Well, I mean, you probably know history better than I do, but I mean, my understanding was back in the day, you'd go into office, you served your, short term, and usually it was more of a service that you actually wound up losing money. Now we see these people getting fat and rich, and it's just gross.
No, I
And it
agree.
seems like once they figured out that they could buy elections by offering freebies, then it's like,
Well,
the cat was out of the
I
bag.
I disagree with that, the buying of
Okay.
elections. And because we don't really have any evidence
Promises.
of mass immigration or people that are undocumented. And I understand what you're saying. You're saying, well, even if they're legal immigrants, the Democrats are still promising things that will um, affect them. They're still promising things. And, at what point do we say that that's not like a bet on the future and that's just them showing empathy?
Yeah, well, it concerns me too. If you look over in Europe, what they're doing is the problems that are going over, like in um, crap, not the UK, but Ireland. I don't know if you're following the news, but the kid was killed, the 18-year-old, stabbed to death, nearly beheaded.
Yeah, that's
For breaking
horrible,
one of
but
the,
I
I
don't
know
think I don't
it
think
was
just getting
illegal.
rid of people is like the best way to do it. I think a lot of these people,
No,
just talking about America, I think a lot of
it
these
needs to be
people
controlled.
have the American dream. Even if
Yeah,
they're
some
like
do, but
even if the, like, for example, the Somali community was a big point of contention for a very long time. And, if you look at the Somali community, there's a bunch of business owners, people that are first time owners of business that, aren't, that are excluded from the Medicaid fraud that happened. And when we have this like
yeah,
fervor towards a certain minority group, it can obviously hurt them, especially the ones that haven't committed these crimes, you know?
Right. Yeah, for sure. It's just that, like the welfare numbers seem, really disproportionate, for the population, especially, showing that I don't know the exact figures, but after, a period of 10 years, it was something like 82% were still on welfare. Yeah, I don't know. I obviously haven't fact checked that. That's just the stuff they put out. But yeah, with any group, there's going to be your good eggs and your bad eggs. It's just unfortunately our government doesn't seem to be able to filter the two
Yeah.
out. So
Well, I
I mean, definitely people can come to our country, but don't come to cause issues.
Amen, man. I totally see. I don't support illegal immigration. That's like a point that the right sometimes brings up, but I don't support illegal immigration. I think if you come to America, you should come the legal ways. But the issue I have is the legal ways are very restrictive. I would personally be for creating more ways to be able to come into the country. And that way we can vet them, and anybody that's actually here to cause crime or to uh, cause a commotion will be stopped before they even come in.
Yeah, yeah, that's reasonable. It's just I don't know why it felt like during the Biden administration. I'm in a border state. I see it.
Yeah.
I've had family members. We've actually had about 4 auto accidents, and none of them had auto insurance. And
That is,
the
yeah, that's
cops
a tough
the cops
thing.
don't care. The
Well,
cops don't care because what do? They're like, yeah, we wrote them a ticket and they'll never show up, and their license is suspended. But oh well, they don't care anymore because there's
well,
nothing they can do because they're not backed by the courts. The courts just slap them on the wrist. So they have
well,
basically
if
they're operating motor vehicles, and we all suffer for that. That's what I don't like is we're paying more because other people are getting a pass.
well, I don't because if they miss that court date, they do become wanted. Like there is a warrant out for
Right.
their arrest typically. So I and were these like undocumented citizens or were they just immigrants essentially?
Yeah. So I know that for sure 2 of 4 were, and then one was like a hit and run, and yeah. So
I am
the
very
time.
sorry that that happened, and it shouldn't happen. This is the whole reason I support expanding the ways to become an American because if their American citizenship is on the line, I wouldn't even say well, depends, but if they're they'll be much more incentivized to actually go to
Right.
court, especially because we'll have like a log of all the things they've done, and it just makes tracking a lot easier too.
Well, how do you feel about term limits? I don't think
Um,
we should have forever politicians. I mean, I think you serve your time and you're out. You know.
So, term limits are an interesting one because at first they sound great, right? Like, oh, they won't get entrenched in the politics, but it just becomes like they'll groom the next they'll essentially groom whoever they want to be in charge next and then advocate for them. And it'll be a disproportionate amount of news coverage that the incumbent's choice gets rather than there will definitely be upsets, but I think the real issue, you did hit upon it. It's money in politics, man. It should
Yeah.
not be
It's
this
it's big
easy.
business. Just look at the Washington zip codes. Some of the I think it's like the 6 or 7 richest zip codes are right around D.C. And if you've ever been to D.C., right around Beltway, all the the apartment homes have bars on the windows. But once you get out of the city proper, everything's multi-million. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and I really do think that that is a huge flaw in our our republic democracy, whatever you want to say. And so I really am That's why I advocate for removing Citizens United. It's kind of a crazy ruling, in my opinion.
I just think we need to shrink government, and
Um,
I don't know, put
well,
caps.
I see.
No,
I understand the idea of like shrinking government, therefore we pay less taxes, but that's not necessarily how it always works. I think a lot of these agencies that we fund with our tax dollars are definitely, um, they're meaningful. They do services that we would be disadvantaged without. The CDC funding being cut. Now we've got measles everywhere. Not everywhere, but it is starting to make a resurgence. So I understand I think the better term is like government that you can see. A lot of people don't see the government doing its job because that's kind of how it's supposed to be, right? You don't want to see you want to be able to ignore like, the
it just feels like it's
political.
bloated. It's kind of like when you're driving down the road and you see one guy in the trench digging, and there's like six supervisors standing around. It just feels like that's where we've come to. Is it's not efficient. Everything is
Efficient government.
ma-
That's the word I'm looking for. Efficient. You want efficient government, and that's understandable. So do I. But I don't think just cuts aren't going to get us there. We have to have meaningful programs and policies that can root out this type of stuff. And Doge was not that, unfortunately. I like the idea of Doge, but it didn't really work out, unfortunately.
yeah. I don't know. I would they say it saved a trillion or something or a billion. I don't know. But
Yeah,
but
just
it just
one of the aliens.
we just have we just have a massive deficit. Nobody ever talks about it. I mean, I don't think it'll ever be resolved. You know, but
Mm,
so,
I don't know.
I,
I
I
think there is definite. There's a lot of want to like balance the budget and stuff, and the deficit sounds a lot scarier than what it is. It sounds like we owe a bunch of money to another country, but most of that deficit is money owed to the American people.
what in T bills?
Yeah, it's essentially uh, taxes and stuff like that. Um, it's mostly owed to the American people. I don't know the specifics of what breaks that
Right.
down, but only a small majority is owed to places like China. That's really it. Just places like China, really.
Japan, I think, bought a lot of our debt for a
Oh,
while,
that
but
might.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
but
don't know. I just so I'll let you go, but there's a huge problem. It's on both sides, and I really don't see anybody fixing it soon. From either party. I mean, I couldn't think of a candidate. Yeah, there's just it's so self-serving. It seems like when people get in government. Yeah,
I
so
understand
they get
that.
all the
But
lobbyists. They get all the lobbyists. They get the insider trading. Yeah, that's problematic. Yeah, it just how does like what's her face?
Nancy
Her dad
Pelosi.
served. No, well, no.
Oh, my bad.
What's her?
I got to switch over to
Oh, you're good. It
headphones
was
real
the guy
quick.
that shot somebody. He was on Bush's team. He shot somebody with a shotgun in the face, and then his
Oh, I think
daughter.
I know who you're talking about. Wasn't it
Yeah,
Lindsey Graham?
Lindsey Graham. I couldn't remember that, but yeah, she got like 8 million in like 5 years or something. So like your salary is X,
Oh, Dick
and how
Cheney.
do
There
you?
we go. Sorry.
Yeah, Dick Cheney. Yeah, his daughter. So was
Well,
it
I understand a lot of your positions, brother, and I think a lot of Americans are in your position. What I would just say is just look at the policy a lot of these guys are presenting. Don't, and there's never a quick fix solution. That's
right?
something else that you know, a lot of our issues are systemic and they're not going to be fixed overnight, but they can be fixed. Our democracy is not lost. We are still a strong republic and we will be even better in the future.
I hope so. You're way more optimistic than I am.
Well, I look at all the, I watch politics on a daily, and I can understand how a lot of the news headlines right now are pretty insane, but I see a lot of our institutions standing up and defending the rights of the American people. So I don't think there's not going to be a civil war. I'm not starting it. I could never hurt my fellow Americans. So there, a lot of people will doomsay and say it's the end of democracy. I don't think it's that. So if you want to leave off on a positive note, that's what I got to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't. Well, that's never. Violence is never a solution. So,
Amen.
you know,
Amen, man.
so
Hell yeah.
there's nobody out there that I dislike. I just know that the politicians are unfortunately really, it feels like they're in there for themselves, and it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. They care more about them than us, and it's like, yeah, when at what point does that get reined in, and by who? Because it seems like when they go to Washington, they may, espouse the best intentions and, fervent desire to,
Yeah.
save America, and then when they get there, they just get in the swamp, and it's like,
No,
then
yeah.
they become swamp free.
And
So,
hey, a solution I have to that, I said it before, we got to get rid of Citizens United, man. It's, in my
I didn't even
opinion,
know
a
anything
pretty
about that.
unconstitutional. It's the ruling that allows for PACs to donate money to specific
Oh,
politicians.
yeah, that makes sense. Like if you had like the pharmaceutical companies.
Yep.
So,
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. Well, you have a great day, man.
All right.
I enjoyed
Hey,
this
too. Enjoy the
conversation,
rest of your
and
weekend.
hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Take care.
Yeah, I don't think we're that diametrically opposed. They always make MAGA sound like it's, like it's an evil thing, and it's like I'm not, you know, I don't think that
No.
like
Yeah.
wanting your country to do well is evil. If that
No,
makes
not
sense.
at
I
all.
wouldn't
We're
describe
both
myself as MAGA, but I think that you should have pride in your country and you should care about. I just remember, I might be aging myself, but I remember how patriotic people were, when America was about to turn 200. So
Mhm. Oh wow. Well,
yeah,
hell yeah, man.
so like I said, I'm aging myself a little bit, but yeah, I do
No,
remember
you're
that and
fine.
how pa- people were so patriotic, and the
Well, hey,
bicentennial, and
I
now we're
believe I love this country, and I want to see it do the best it can. So the
right.
patriotism, I mean, as far as I'm seeing, it's alive and well. I promise, man. It may not seem like
Yeah.
it right now, but I love America, and all the fellow liberals I know love America too. So,
Well, it almost sounds like you're a conservative.
a lot of people you can see. I understand how you would think that. Hold on, I do have to switch over my headphone one moment. But I'll just filibuster real quick. I've heard that a lot, but a lot of my positions are very left leaning. I believe that healthcare should be, universal at some point. And I also believe that. Hold on, sorry, I'm reconnecting this. This might take a moment. Um, Sorry, I apologize. For some reason, my headphone isn't connecting. One moment. That is my fault, my friend. All right.
Yeah,
There we
I think
go.
healthcare is important. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
so
was just
sorry
saying, it
I
just seems
wasn't
like
able.
anything. Oh no, you're totally cool. What? And I don't disagree with you. I think healthcare is important for everybody. To keep people healthy. It's like a no-brainer. But anytime you start getting the government involved, it just seems like there's waste, fraud, and abuse. You look, just for example, I have family members that are in medicine, and the amount of time spent in charting and coding for because one, there's so much, litigious threat out there, and the insurance rates are so high. That's just one issue. The other issue is, it's just there is so much effort just in keeping track of everything. There's like
Yeah.
150,000 codes. Like patient was struck by a meteorite while walking, to
No,
school.
yeah. That's why any form of public health care would have to be very, they'd have to observe it and all that. And I think a public option is what's best right now. That would really bring down the private healthcare providers and private insurance companies' rates. I don't think healthcare for everybody is what would work right now, but it is my eventual goal.
Right. Yeah, because people
Yeah.
abuse it. So it's
That's
like,
why I like the IRS for that reason, I think the IRS is, a lot of people have demonized it, but that's how we find the waste, fraud, and abuse.
Right.
It's not usually
I like,
federal, it's not usually like executive agencies rooting it out. Most of the time it
right.
is the IRS.
Yeah, and I would think that honestly, if people had something where I think it comes down to people need to be more accountable or more responsible self. So, for example, if people had starting life with an HSA, and that HSA, would grow over time, and the incentive to stay healthy, not smoke, not drink, not do drugs, is that when you hit retirement, you would get that money. So if you're not spending it on healthcare,
But
maybe
isn't that the age in which you would be spending more on healthcare?
when you're older,
Yeah.
well, maybe you'd have a different program. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, you're right, because the statistics are that in your final 2 years of life, most people spend everything they've accumulated in the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
I
people get
like the
sick,
idea of
cancer.
I
It's
like the
just
idea of health saving account, but I do think we need something a little more substantive because
right.
people, unfortunately, are not great at saving money. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
But
if you look at just the end of life health care for like hospice or memory care, you're talking 15,000 plus a month.
yeah,
Who
it's
can
very
pay that kind of
expensive. Exactly.
yeah, who can pay that kind of money?
Well, I totally agree with you, man, that I think healthcare is a problem, but I'm probably gonna move on to my next caller if that's okay. I
You're
really
good.
enjoyed this
Yeah, all good.
conversation. I
Hey,
like
take
these
care.
types of conversations. Yeah, for sure. Have a great day, man.
Hey, you too. Take care. Bye.
Yep, bye-bye. Yeah, I usually like having conversations like that, where we can show that we're not too diametrically opposed. I know a lot of people enjoyed my debates last night, but I try to, show that the left isn't a bunch of crazies. We are pretty reasonable people, and I think most of America is in the position that guy is in, or where I'm in, where we're not super on the left, not super on the right, and we just want sensible policies. And that's why I support the Democrats, because a lot of people paint them as like these communist bastards, but we're really not. All right, this man has been calling me
Call from
nonstop.
August.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Hey, how are you doing today, sir? I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Now, I'm a political guy, but my grandfather was state treasurer of California, Jess Unruh, one of the most powerful Democrats in the state of California in his time. Used to call my grandpa Big Daddy Jess Unruh. So I'm 47 years old. Okay, my grandpa's been dead for I don't know, about 21 years now. But when I was I went to Brown's Military Academy in Signal Hill, California, Long Beach. and I lived there 5 days a week. So my grandfather came and picked me up on a Friday, and I was 15 at the time, and that was the first time I saw in the newspaper the word Big Daddy Jeff Sunroot. So when my grandpa picked me up, I go, "Hey, Grandpa, they got you as Big Daddy Jeff." My grandpa didn't like that. He was a behind-the-scenes guy, very private dude, honest guy, and I'm a perfect stamp of him. Okay. My grandpa told me at 15, you can have all the money in the world, but if your word isn't as good as gold, you have nothing. So I was raised around Gavin, Nancy, I know them all. Actually saw Governor Brown about a year ago. And here's my thing. I've been in the military 12 years, okay? And it doesn't matter what branch. I was in special operations for 12 years, worked with a dog. And here's what I think, okay? I voted, and I'm like my grandpa, honest. I voted for Trump twice. Wouldn't vote for him again, okay, at all, okay.
Mhm.
I think the politicians on both sides are paid off, okay. I know people up there, and I look at this and go, okay, so you got a person like Brian Mass who lost both his legs from the knees on down. He walks out of the chamber in an Israeli military jacket. Okay. Hey, our country comes first. The American people come first. It's America first. Okay. Trump got us into something that is going to end up, because I still have a security clearance. You know, I had listened to you and the other gentleman, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, number one, were you guys ever in the military? Ever been out in the field? Ever been shot at? Ever killed a person? Ever seen what that war is like?
Does that
Okay,
matter?
horrible. It does. It's horrible.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think it's horrible. That's why I
it's
advocate
horrible.
against these foreign invasions.
I think you're absolutely right. And we're stuck. We're stuck in a situation that people need to be honest where we're at. Honest where we're at or this situation. Okay? It's horrific. Hey, listen. My feelings are that if we don't get this corrected like yesterday, Bibi has no business being in the White House. I mean, if you look at the picture that they're building right next to the White House, right connected to the White House, where they're building that big old tall ballroom with the dome on top, with the stripes, blue and white all along the thing. Okay, look, this is America.
I agree.
I don't care what part. I don't care what party line you're on. People are starving to death. People are dying here. The fraud in this country is off the hook, and the billions and the billions of dollars that's publicized on the television. Do you really think that's just the tip of the iceberg? Behind the scenes,
So
everybody. Go
I
ahead.
need to address some points you brought up.
Sure.
So on the idea that everybody is bought and paid for, I don't think it's necessarily everybody is quote unquote bought and paid for, but I do
Okay.
think money has an uh, there is an overabundance of money in terms of representation. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
support getting rid of Citizens United and all the
And get rid of APAC.
Democrats.
Got to get rid of
Well,
APAC.
you can't get rid of
Look,
APAC. You know how APAC donates, though, right? It's
oh, you
because
bet.
of the Citizens United law.
You bet. You bet. You bet. So you need to start right there. Right there. Okay. Look, you know, not everybody's bought and paid for. You could take a look at Massey, right? And the $32 million to get him out of office. Look, Lindsey Graham. When's the last time Lindsey Graham? You don't hear anything. He just gets back in office. You look at Gavin Newsom. I mean, they don't even hide it anymore.
What if
They don't
Gavin,
hide it.
what has Gavin Newsom done?
Well, look, he said on national television that he had a glass ceiling. When the American people have no confidence in their vote, what are you going to have? You're going to have tyranny. Okay, that's
Well,
what you're going to have.
But
And
the reason here's the thing though, when you say things
Mhm.
like all politicians are bought and paid for, that makes people not want to vote. That makes people not want to engage in their political system because they
you
think it
bet.
doesn't matter. But do you understand how harmful that phrase is?
Yes, it is. It is, and I'm one. who firmly believes that no matter how you vote, okay, look at all the investigations. Because even Trump said it himself about California. Okay, all
Yeah.
these people were ahead.
Trump lies.
Well, you bet he does. He lies right through his teeth. And so what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to tell you is that that's how the American people feel, that their
No,
vote
I
doesn't
get it.
matter. I know
I get it.
guys that you
And
would
I'm
know their
trying
names.
to and I'm trying to
Go ahead.
restore faith in our system, man.
And I hope we can get there, because I'm going to tell you this. The guys that I know, that you would know their name right off the bat, you would know, and you would know their face if you saw it on YouTube. When you hear men like that talking, when you hear the men like that talking, and I would tell you to go on YouTube and look around. Okay, when you hear people like that, I've been married 25 years. Okay, and that's a lot of guys aren't married like me. Okay, with 3 kids. I want to get away from how can I say? I want to get away from the whole scene. I mean, I live in a state on 15 acres. I mind my own business. I do my own thing. I'm fortunate to be in the situation I am. But God bless, there's a lot of people out there that aren't in this situation. You got a lot of homeless on the street,
Amen.
drug addiction. I mean, you got $20-some billion missing from the state of California, where I grew up. Okay, come on, man. Where is the money at? These people have never been tried, and there are criminals on both sides that should have been tried a long time ago. From either from Trump's president, Biden's president, whoever, you know. And again, sir, I voted for Trump twice because of the things he said. He's a liar. He's a pedophile. Okay, and that's it. I don't go for that at all. Okay, and one thing I can tell you about us guys, I don't care what you throw in a bag in front of me. It could be millions of dollars. I'll never turn my back on my brothers or my country. We're not built like that, man.
Amen.
We are not
I
built
would never,
like
yeah, I love this nation and I want to see it thrive. So I take what you're saying and I hear it, you know. That's why I'm so
that. Passionate.
that's why I'm so
Well,
passionate and ardent about getting rid of Citizens United, man. I
you need
think
to do that. You need to do that right away. I'm for that, man.
hell yeah.
Okay, I'm for that. And like I said, you know, it took me a while to get. You just don't walk out of a movie theater back into society, okay? And it took me a while. My mother-in-law was a nun in Guadalajara, okay? Came to this country legally. Been married 25 years. My in-laws have passed away since. You know, so it took me a while to get integrated back home here, you know, and if it wasn't for my wife and her religious stance, being a Catholic, you know, first thing she told me, lower your wall, and I did. Okay, but it took me a
There we
while,
go.
right?
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure. And I'm glad to
that's
have
why
you
I
here,
live.
brother. Thank you for your service, man.
Thank you, and that's why I live where I live at, because I see animals, not people, and I tell myself, you know, if I see an animal getting eaten, which I have, okay, I go, wow, I feel so sorry for that deer that the bear is eating, right? But I have to tell myself that's part of their ecosystem, right? And the only creature on this planet that harms each other is man. Man,
Oh, yeah,
they kill each other. We can't
well,
sit down at a
I would
table.
say we kill each other over pettier stuff than like
You bet.
food. You know, I totally agree. I think we need to lower the temperature and we need to come to each other as Americans
As
before
Americans at
anything.
the table. Americans at the table. No more of this funny business. Look, you know what like Trump did? He said, well, hey, all the kids can't be, you know, prosecuted. You can't look into there. You got Cash Patel. You got the Blanche dude. You know, and you sit there and you ask yourself, look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going on, right?
No, yeah,
And
for sure.
listen, I'm sorry, man, but I don't let anybody, when it comes to kids, right? You don't do that. And
course.
Trump's one of those. And
Yeah.
the guys he hung out, it's a proven fact, regardless if he wants to admit it or not. Okay,
True.
and we can't have that in the world, right? And the associations and the cover-ups and this and that. Hey, if I make a mistake, I'll stand right up and say, hey, I made a mistake. Okay. But I'll never make a mistake like that ever. Okay.
No, yeah, for sure.
And it angries us guys. It really does, because
Oh, I
we voted
understand.
for him. And it was
Well,
the biggest psyop to us on the planet. It really was.
well,
Biggest psyop on us.
I understand, and I do think that, Trump, yeah, I wouldn't beat yourself too much up about voting for Trump. He came to us when America was hurting, right? We were
You bet.
hurting after
Hmm.
high inflation. Biden had brought it down, but people still felt like the economy was not working for them, and he took
Hmm.
advantage of that. And I have no issue with anybody that voted for Trump as long as they're like you and they recognize the damage this guy is doing.
Huge.
For
Huge.
sh- oh
Like
yeah,
I said, us guys have security clearances, so, can't speak about that, but
of
we're in
course.
trouble.
I'm
We're in
I
trouble
I'll
as
I
Americans.
can just see it from how we're just treating our allies like shit. Like that was one of our biggest strengths was we were able to
You
make
bet.
allies. And now that we have this douchebag like calling Europe, and threatening to invade Greenland is insane,
Right.
dude. Why
Right.
do we need to invade it? We have all the rights there. Like we don't need to. Do you just want it as like a piece, like a legacy piece? That's how it kind of feels. So, but there are a lot of people
Well,
like you,
that's
and
what he's all about, is wearing some legacy piece and wearing a big ring, and he's like a little kid as a gangster, right? And so, and I'm sorry, Trump, but that's what you are. And
hey, true.
we need some action. We need it right away. And like I said, there's people out there starving. They're working their tails off to put a tank of gas in their car. Okay,
No, yeah,
I'm
for
one of
sure.
them. I'm one of
Well,
them. The food prices are up.
yeah, and that, I understand being hesitant about voting for Democrats. I do, but that is why I support the Democrats is because
Well, I support
they,
them too, and I always have. This is the first time in my life that I went
ah,
the other way. The other way, and it was because of my upbringing, right?
yeah,
And I'm just a dude. Like, listen, man, I'm just a guy who believes in right and wrong, man. If my vote goes this way and it doesn't work out, then I go, okay, well, maybe next time, right? And so, but as a country, as the people, people don't even get along anymore.
yeah,
People, they don't. How can I say? They don't like each other anymore like they used to. Where's Brother Man at? When I
yeah,
moved here on this acreage, and then no matter where I go in life, I want to be an asset to my community. I want to be an asset to my farmer way over there. If he needs help, hey, give me a call. I'll rush right over. Stuff like that. We don't have that anymore. The racism in this country, the illegal immigrants in this country. Hey, look at Somalia. Okay, I know tier one guys in the Navy that would not even go into parts of Minnesota. That's how dangerous it is.
well,
Okay, and so we
I
need to.
I this is I touched on this I think with the last call, and it's like yes, there could be there was fraud in these Somali minority communities, but
Mhm.
it's not to the scale that everybody is saying. I understand how 82% of the population could still be on benefits because it takes time to establish yourself here in America, but I don't think that they're all fraudsters and all scammers. I think they're most of the time just people like you and me that want to see America, that want to live in America and
Mhm.
pursue that American dream.
And the first thing we need to do is we need to correct some of the news medias. Okay, I mean horrible. All the American people are looking for the truth, right? And we can accept that truth. Some of the media is way out there. They're, again, who can you trust when you're listening and everybody's listening, and then you find out, okay, well, that's not true, or you find out that's not true, and holy cow, I hope they remove Trump. He has said so many lies. Well, this is going to
Yeah,
happen. You realize my
Oh yeah,
clothing is like,
this is gonna have
it,
a huge
yeah, it is.
impact for our future.
You,
Like
do you
Europe probably won't
understand?
trust us anymore. Europe
No,
probably, and that's heartbreaking because I know a lot of Europeans that loved
so
the
do I.
ideals of America, and yeah, I agree. Well, brother, I think this was a
Hey,
good
God bless you,
conversation, by the
man.
way.
God bless you for what you do. We're right behind you. Trust us. We're just people, man. It's called
Amen.
redemption. We're all just trying to get to the end of the line.
Hell
God bless
yeah,
you. Thank
and
you. Thank you for taking my call.
of
Peace out,
course.
brother.
Yep.
Thank you.
Peace out. Have a great day. This is a great
You too.
convo. Hey, I like that, dude. I thought that was a good conversation. Anyways, I was getting a call and I noticed somebody called in earlier. I wasn't able to answer that because I was on the phone with somebody else, but if you want to call in now, feel free to. Yeah, I mean, I love my fellow American man. I could never wish harm upon them or anything like that. All right.
Call from.
Mason.
To accept, press 1.
Hey Mason, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Um, well, when you say our system, right, like we need to restore faith in our system, I don't think that American liberal democracy has ever been our system. I think if you look at the founding of this country, it has always been one made for and, made up of land owning white men at the time. And it evolved into white men
Yeah,
and so on and so forth.
I get
But
this
the
is
core,
the Christian nationalist narrative, right?
no, I'm a far left,
Well,
completely different. I am,
oh, got you.
yeah, no, I am not a Nazi.
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand. Well,
So,
I
mhm.
do agree with that, and the reason, sorry, I thought you were going a different direction with that. I was
No,
like,
completely
oh no,
understandable,
here we
but no,
go.
no,
Here
no,
we
no, no,
go.
no.
No, I get what you're saying. So, yeah, I do think that America unfortunately has this history of prejudice and continually um, putting down the rights of our minorities. But I have seen very positive progress on that front. And what I point to, or what I used to point to, was the Civil Rights Act and how
Hmm.
monumental that was. But it's not all gone. You know, Republicans want us to think that everything is gone. Democrats and the left in general will never have power in this country again. And that's bullshit. Every single special election has been won by a Democrat. And that shows that people are not happy with this Republican nationalist narrative. But
Right.
it does take it's going to take constant interaction with our political system to really see true change there.
When you look at things like the Civil Rights Act, or for other examples like FDR's New Deal, or even in some cases like Jim Crow, like these are concessions to political entities in this country, right? The Civil Rights Act was not a liberation of the African American. Even before the backsliding that we see currently, the African American in this country was oppressed greatly. Not necessarily directly, though in many cases it was direct. These are concessions made by the ruling classes of society to placate, and please the lower classes of society so that they do not take the action necessary to create
Mm.
real monumental change.
I don't. So that real monumental change, right? Sounds good on paper. It's like, hey, we liberate ourselves and all that, but that would lead to massive bloodshed, and I don't think I don't want to kill my fellow American, which would that's what that would necessitate. But I don't think it's
But the
lost, man.
upholding, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. Go on.
Um, when you uphold a system as we have in America, right? America is a first world country. We enjoy many benefits that other countries do not, right? But these benefits and this wealth doesn't come from nowhere. our current state, our current economic state, which is far better off than the rest of the world, comes from us murdering and, destroying the peoples and the lands of lesser off countries, right? There
don't think
aren't
that's
really
actually
any
true.
poor countries.
I don't think that's
There aren't
actually
any
true,
really
sir.
poor countries. Mexico is not a poor country. Iraq is not a poor country. Iran
Mexico,
is not a poor country.
yeah. So I just want to point out, like, where do you see us just directly taking stuff? I don't see that personally. As a matter of fact, I think we are the most preferable global hegemon amongst the options. China and Russia have been known to, we have a belief here that we do like to try to better the countries we interact with. Now, that doesn't always work, and I completely concede that we have failed a lot of the time. However, places like China, places like Russia, if they become the global hegemon, they will not. We've seen it with the Belt and Road Initiative for China.
Right.
And, they are not going to invest in these communities the same way America has. And so I
Well,
understand. What's up?
It's a new type of imperialism, right? The old imperialism of the colonial era, of UK, France, to a lesser extent, US and Liberia, Germany, invade, straight up just conquering Africa, right, and stealing the resources. What we see now is neo-imperialism or economic imperialism. We indirectly control the resources. Nestle, for example, in the Congo, in the cocoa farm.
Yeah, I agree. That's not the
we
American
exploit
government,
the
though.
peoples of these countries. And the interests
that's a
of these
private
countries are
entity.
defended by the United States.
I agree, but that is a private entity. So you can see how these might be a little different. We can't control what Nestle does. Unfortunately, we just can't. But we can control what our government does. And I think that this idea of neo-imperialism kind of falls flat when you see the benefit in a lot of these communities. For example, USAID was a lifeline, and the cutting of it will lead to the deaths of tens of millions. And so it's like, I understand the criticism that they become dependent on the US, but I'd rather them be dependent on the US than somewhere like China or Russia, who A, is not going to help their population in the slightest. They're just going to enrich the upper elites. And B, have infrastructure projects that just benefit China.
Yeah, I see that, but I'm not here to argue that China or Russia would be a better hegemon.
Well,
what I'm
you
saying
have
is
to.
that
You're advocating for
the
us ceding our power, which would necessitate another global hegemon stepping in and filling that vacuum, because it's not going to be a sanitized playing field. It will be taken advantage of if our presence is withdrawn.
Sure, of course it will. But, I'm not saying that, I think that the exploited peoples of all countries have more in common with one another than I do, for example, or you do, for example, with, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
The true liberation does not come through the ballot box. The ballot box is
No, see, you're falling for a lie, brother. And I don't know how else to tell you it. You're falling for a lie that the upper elites want you to believe. See, the upper elites don't want you to vote because that is the only meaningful way of affecting change in our society, unless you're a mega rich billionaire. And the upper elites know that. So they say, don't vote. It's all a facade. You don't have to go out there. But they'll say to their constituents, their people that vote for them, go out and vote. It's all a giant psyop to get the left to not vote, my friend.
The thing is, voting, I do vote. I encourage people to vote. But I do not think that the ballot box should be the last place you go to, nor do I think it's even a useful place to go to. But it's still, you should still go there, and you should still vote.
The entire reason we had the revolution was to be able to vote, was to be able to choose our leader.
The United States, before the revolution, so the 13 colonies, British North America, they basically handled their own affairs, right? They did have elections, and it was called statutory neglect, right? The UK kind of just left us alone. The reason the revolution happened, there's multiple reasons, but the big ones. A, The British would not allow American settlers to expand past the Appalachian Mountains and displace more Native American communities. B, the American business class with, rich, wealthy people like John Hancock, who was a smuggler because of this, they were forced to only trade with British merchants, and they would get better deals from, Dutch merchants or Spanish merchants or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Yeah, free trade.
So it wasn't this mass wave of liberation across the United States. It was the American business class fighting for its best self-interest.
See,
Now, do I think that
you're
was
looking at
historically
it through
progressive?
I think you're looking at it through such a negative lens, and you're looking for things to be mad about here, man. That's what it feels like.
No, I view history through the lens of class struggle. That
Yeah, I
the
think
struggle
that's
between different economic
you
classes is
should.
what drives history forward.
I
I think the
disagree.
American Revolution was a historically progressive thing, and I think that it was good at its time, right? It drove history forward. But now at the moment, the main class conflict isn't between the business class and the aristocracy, it's between the working class and the business class. Our
And
interests
so,
are
yeah,
diametrically opposed.
but I do want to. I want to. Let's feel out your idea of liberation, and let's see what it truly leads to. So, at the beginning of your liberation, there will be senators, congressional members, heads of state dragged out and shot in front of everybody as a message. And this will happen, whether you want it to or not. Do you think that? And then, um, I don't know if is there going to be a popular front that reestablishes norms? Because at that point, it sounds like anarchy more than, and it sounds worse than the system we have.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about, the bloodshed of revolution, you can look at the American Revolution. People who weren't loyal to the ideals of the patriots at the time were tarred and feathered in the street,
How old are you?
and they slaughtered massive amounts of native communities
Yeah.
who were just thought to be allied with the
Yeah, it's
British.
horrible. We committed a genocide. How old are you?
So I am 20.
20? Okay. So I'm 26, and I can understand how the fervent the fervent of wanting to see a better future can kind of cloud you or make it more opaque what the actual outcomes of what you're proposing would be. I don't think it would be this giant liberation. What would happen is it would be a very, it would be very disparate. There would be little pockets fighting up and then going down. There's not, the only way to meaningfully affect change here in America is to vote. There's not going to be a mass revolution, man. Even if like 80% of the working class agreed, there's not going to be, because or if there was a revolution, we'd get something a lot worse than what we have right now.
Do you support the American Revolution? Do
Do
you
I
support the French
the
Revolution?
American and the French revolutions?
Those revolutions were bloody,
Yeah.
and awful things
Do you
happened to
think
many
you
people.
lived as bad? Do you think you lived as bad as a colonial? That wasn't do you think you lived as bad as them? Do you
No,
think conditions are to the point of the American Revolution or the
not here
Civil
in the
War
first world, no.
or the Civil War? I don't think they're
No, and
to
the
that
Civil War was
level yet.
also a revolution, really, if you really look at it. It was a slave revolt.
No,
It was not. It
a
was
slave
fought over
revolt,
it was
sir.
fought over long decades. The
It's not a
abolitionists
slave
were
revolt.
struggling against the Southern plantation class for decades before Fort Sumter was attacked.
Yeah. No, that's the history of America. It's struggle and then finally um getting what we want. But man, I don't think you're really thinking out this idea of a revolution, cuz it's not going to lead to what you want it to. There's going to be somebody who takes advantage of it, and we're going to see what happened during the USSR. If it's super left, or we'll see what happened, or this will give a chance for the Nazis to actually take over, and they'll gain power. And so I just don't think this. It sounds good on paper, but I promise you, it's not what you want, man.
But there's no other way to end the exploitation of wage
No,
labor without the
of wage
abolition of the
labor.
economic
Okay,
system.
listen, man. Wage labor, you benefit from that. You know that, right?
Yeah,
The
I
shirt
benefit
you're
from the
wearing.
exploitation of the third world. I
You
don't need
do.
to defend the exploitation
you
of the third world to
understand.
acknowledge that I benefit from it.
I understand that. I understand that. But what you're advocating for can be addressed by regulation and policy. There doesn't have to be a giant uprising.
So why would, for example, the American business class, which runs the United States,
It doesn't run the
why
United
would
States. You're wrong.
yes,
No, it doesn't.
the political, there is the economic base, and then there is the political superstructure. The
political
economic base becomes
superstructure,
before
that's
the
interesting.
superstructure. Yeah, no, this is classic leftist theory.
Yeah, I understand.
the economic
I
base-
understand that, like, there was this dude named Marx,
Gramsci?
and he got paid to sit on his ass all day and not actually do anything.
Okay.
So I get it.
Okay, he was a journalist actually, and he was a
No,
labor
he just sat
organizer.
on his ass and didn't work. Lazy ass
Okay.
motherfucker.
All right.
He was.
Yeah. Okay.
He was. Got
Yeah,
paid by his
okay.
boyfriend to sit on his ass and opine
True.
about
Engels.
things
Engels.
that-
He was. And listen, Engels was a sugar daddy. I will say that. Engels
Yeah.
was quite the sugar daddy.
I don't think Karl Marx
But-
ever had a very smart thought, to be honest. I've read all
Really,
of his shit.
what of his thoughts do you not think are smart? What of his specific theories do you not
This
think?
idea
that you
of
seem so well
commodities.
educated
Yeah,
about it.
this idea of commodities being the base of everything. It's just, it's childish, man.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like commodities being the base of everything.
Yeah, commodities being the base of what makes our system run round. You know, this idea of like the bourgeois and the proletariat is incredibly simplistic.
It's very complex, actually. If you actually
No,
read
the
that
idea of
passage
the
out.
bourgeois. Literally, let me reframe what he said. Rich people versus poor people. That's all he said.
No, that's not at all what it is.
Whoa! No, it is.
No,
It
that's
is.
not
It
at all what
totally
it is, man.
It totally
it's those
is.
who sell their
have you
labor
read
power
Marx?
as their only commodity, and those who
Have you
profit
read
off
Marx,
the exploitation
sir?
of other people. Yes, sir.
Well, then you would. I mean,
Seemingly
you
more
are
so than
20
you.
years old. You are 20 more so than me. I mean, that's great. But you are 20 years old, so you know his opinings may sound quite smart, but they are not. The
You were
proletariat.
completely incorrect
That's
about
fine.
when you try to describe what it was rich versus poor. It is not rich versus poor.
No,
There
that's
are rich
really
members
what
of
he
the
said.
proletariat.
No,
Lawyers,
that's what
for
he
example.
said.
Doctors,
That's
for
what he
example, are
said.
members of the proletariat.
I don't remember lawyers and doctors being members of the proletariat in the
Because they sell their
revolutions.
labor power.
In the
Engels talks about this in anti.
Oh, so they're traitors? They're traitors? Doctors are traitors? That's what you're
No,
saying.
they're not traitors.
They're traitors
just
to the
members of
proletariat.
The labor aristocracy.
They're traitors to the proletariat. They are advocating for the same system that apparently to you continually oppresses the proletariat. What are you talking about? They're not traitors.
They're members of the labor aristocracy, so their interest tends to be more aligned with that of the bourgeois, but they are not inherently traitors just because one is a lawyer or one is a doctor.
But they would be folded into the same. They would be folded into the same like bourgeoisie, right? Because they make a lot of
Not
money,
necessarily, no,
and they
because they
directly
sell- it's not
benefit
about
from
money.
they
It's
directly
not about
benefit
money.
from the exploitation
It's not
of the
about
lower
money, it's
class.
about how you make that money. It's
They
not about the
directly-
money, it's about how
So
you
do
make
you
the money.
disagree? Hold on, let's
Okay.
roll. Let's drone it. Do you disagree? Do you think lawyers don't have advantage? Do you think lawyers don't exploit the lower class?
I think that lawyers do, but I do not think that
So
they are
we
not
should drag
members
them
of the
out and
same
shoot
class.
them, right? We should shoot them.
No, that's
and
not
kill
what
them.
I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
That seems like it. You're the one asking for a revolution. I'm just trying to see where. I'm just trying to follow your train of thought here.
Proletariat are those which sell their labor power as the only commodity they can sell. The bourgeois are the ones who exploit labor power.
Rich
That is the
person
only
versus
difference.
poor person.
It's not rich person versus
It
poor
is rich
person.
person versus poor
You can
person.
be a rich
man.
member of the proletariat. You can be a lawyer.
And
can
you
be a
would be
doctor.
seen
You are
as a
selling labor
traitor.
power.
You would be seen as a traitor. Don't act like you wouldn't.
Look, I'm not here to talk about whatever happened in the USSR. I'm just here to talk about what the text
Well,
says, since you
you're
said that
just-
none of his
yes,
ideas make
I
any
understand
sense, and
your-
you clearly don't understand his ideas.
Yes, I understand that you have to assume that I don't understand the teachings of Engels and fucking Karl Marx. But I think it doesn't take a genius to engage with these thoughts. They're opinings of a dumbass that sat on his ass all day.
As
Just gonna be
opposed to what,
honest.
Jefferson, a dumbass who sat on his ass on a slave plantation and raped his slave?
As opposed to a lot of people, it wasn't just one person
Like,
that contributed to the
Sure, yeah, you have
American
Locke,
ideology.
you have.
See, I think you've
It's
got
just-
you do a lot of. I notice you do research, and I think that's great, man. And I think it's amazing that you have this political passion. I think that's great, man. But
Yeah. I think it's great
if
that you
you
have
want
this
me,
show
if
and that
you
you talk
well,
about this stuff. I think we need to mellow out a little bit. We're getting a little heated here.
oh no, it's fine, man. This is what it's
Yeah, no,
about.
I'm fine. I just don't want to
Well,
I don't want to be mean
you're
or
good.
anything.
No, you're good. You can. I've been called a whole bunch of things, but if you
Yeah,
want to,
no.
so what I would like, what I would say, if you wanted to spread your political message further, is I understand like the teachings are great, but how does that you need to distill it so it comes across better to the common man, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't think
Yeah.
the common guy is going to really understand this proletariat, bourgeoisie, but you are addressing an issue, and that is the economic struggle of most Americans. You are addressing an issue, but also one other thing is I don't think advocating for revolution is a good idea because it would lead to a lot of death and destruction. I do feel there are ways that we can achieve what we want to see, making sure that the exploitation of the third world stops. We can achieve that through laws and regulations and making
I
sure
don't
that the
know.
business class doesn't have say in our politics. We can achieve that through repealing Citizens United and go even further and make it illegal for members of Congress to stock trade. These are meaningful
I mean, yeah, that would
changes.
be great. But I mean, you look at history, you look at for example, like the New Deal with FDR, right? All those social programs that came in peacefully, they're all becoming decrepit, right? Like peaceful reforms that are against the interest of those in power,
Decrepit.
they don't last very long.
Social Security is one of the most it's a miracle of the modern day. Social Security is
Yeah, no,
it's not
I'm not saying
decrepit.
it's a bad thing. I'm not saying
Well,
that
you're
we shouldn't
saying I
enjoy
know,
these
but
things.
kind of what you're saying is it's crumbs, right? You're saying it's crumbs, but it's not crumbs, These are meaningful things that were achieved through policy and regulation.
They were achieved through they're concessions made though. They're
They're not.
concessions.
See, you're framing them as if they're concessions, but they're not concessions.
They were. The reason the New Deal happened is
Everybody
because you had the Great
benefits from a
Depression.
Social Security.
Sure, yeah, everyone does benefit, but obviously those who were born into the very low classes of society benefit much more than a millionaire who would never even need Social Security in the first place.
Yeah, so what you're saying is actually it's not a concession. It's a concession on the business dealer's side, not on the
No, it's a concession made by the business class to the working class, yes, because they don't want to be ousted from power. They don't want, to end the exploitation of the third world. They don't want this.
Oh, well, something else that would benefit that I would advocate for is splitting up these companies. That's something we can do. There should be 5 Amazons, not one, and that would help
Right,
with the
sure.
conglomeration of power. But just
But
resetting our
that
system
happens
isn't a good
naturally.
idea. No, it doesn't
It-
happen
the-
naturally. No.
Yes, it does. I mean,
No,
Teddy Roosevelt split
the
up
breaking
so
up of
many countries.
monopolies, the breaking up of monopolies is something that has to be actively politically driven.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that monopolies form naturally, and that,
And that should be
if
it
you aren't
should
actively
be
breaking them up.
exactly. We need a more active we need more regulated capitalism. We don't need communism.
I don't. It's just that capitalism inherently is exploitative at its core through wage labor. You can't take that out. You cannot regulate that out of it.
So, do you think that if we had you think that I don't really understand your philosophy here because at the end of the day, the worker is still going to be exploited, whether it be through the government and slash or whether it be through the businesses. I saw a lot of exploitation from in the USSR and in
Oh,
China,
of
for
course.
example.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, again, I'm not here to defend the atrocities of any regime, claiming to be one thing or the other. But what you look at is that the ending of exploitation comes not from paying everyone exactly what they make, because then there would be no economic growth. There needs to be some level of what we see now,
Regulation,
right? With
right?
with surplus value. With surplus value, right? That's how profit's made. You're not paying
Well,
your workers as much as they make for you. That's how profit exists.
I
Um,
think a lot of things that you're upset about can be addressed through law. There just needs to be that political will, which is why I'm super happy that you're into politics, man. That's fucking amazing because we need more people like you. I don't agree
yeah,
with how far on the left you are, obviously, but we need
yeah.
people that can push, well, we need people that can push the goalpost, you know?
I know. Yeah,
I
exactly.
would just say, like, in the future, just try to distill it down so it's a lot easier for the average person to understand.
Yeah,
And
no,
I'm
I'm
not
used
trying
to
to be a dick. I'm really
Yeah,
not.
no, I get what
Like
you mean. No, I completely agree
yeah,
with you. That's something I've actively been trying to do, because I'm used to debating in academic settings, or I have
yeah.
this thing where I teach, I have a reading group I lead, where
That's
I'm
great to
used to
hear,
that
man.
academic
That's super.
language.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, no, so it's a struggle for me to really try and distill it down. That's what I was trying to do earlier when I said business and working, instead of
No,
bourgeoisie
you're good,
proletariat.
man.
But
You're good. I
yeah.
come out. Dude, I do this every day, so it's not a shock that I'm super, But trust me, I think what you're doing. I think your goals are admirable, and I would just try to work within the system a little bit more. And I think you've got something that will appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about earlier when we both got a little heated. I don't mean to
Oh no, it's
insult
fine,
you.
man. Oh,
Yeah,
bro, I've
shit
been called
happens.
some pretty horrible shit by some of my best friends, so don't worry
Oh
about it,
yeah.
man.
All
Don't
right.
worry about it. Well, you have a
Yeah.
great day, and I wish you luck in the future, man.
You too, man. You have a great day.
Yep. Peace. Yeah, I always say it, but I don't hate those further left than me. I think it's great that people are into politics and pushing ideas that are new and creative.
Call from.
Your best buddy, Michael.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Um, hey, Michael, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far?
No, I think it was last week I was trying to call you, and you were on the topic of voter ID,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just questioning, do you think that should, I would like you to educate me. Do you think that is something that should be required or not?
So, my position on voter ID is a little unique because in Kansas we already have voter ID. So I don't think
Mm,
it's necessarily an issue as long
mm,
as there is a national ID that everybody can
mm,
take advantage of, or every
right.
U.S. citizen can actively get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I caught you at the end of the conversation, and then the only thing I was thinking, I believe it's the 15th and 19th Amendment was African Americans being able to vote, and women being able to vote, and they march, they protest, and they fought so hard to be recognized as a citizen and being able to vote that I feel like it would be diminished, in my
Oh,
opinion, if just anyone was allowed to vote. I'm not saying that that's what you believe or anything, but that was just a quick question. I just
yeah,
wanted to see what your opinion was, because
of course. Yeah, I appreciate the question, man. Well, if that's it, I hope you have a great day and thanks for calling in, man.
all right, sorry, but
No,
thank
you're
you.
fine. Yeah,
All
you
right,
don't have to apologize, brother. Take care.
you have a great day.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Call from.
Matt.
To To accept, press 1.
Hey, Matt, how are you doing today?
Good. How's it going?
It's going well. So, did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Well, I saw you. Well, I was kind of listening to your conversation. I was kind of confused though. You're a Democrat, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What type of are you like? Are you moderate? Are you far left? Like, where do you align on the spectrum?
I am a liberal, so I believe in. I'll give it to you simple. I believe in privatization with regulation.
All right. So you're a classic liberal.
Yeah, I would say classic liberal. I do believe in a social safety net, but yeah, I'd say I'm pretty
Sure.
classical liberal.
So I saw your the 2028 thing with the Democrats. I'm curious, what do you think? Now, I'm a moderate. I lean conservative. I'm from Massachusetts. So ultimately, I'm curious what policies and what types of benefits the public would get by voting or, getting some type of Democrats across the board in office in
Yeah,
the
for sure.
country.
Well, I think there's multiple benefits, but I'll start with one that I think we're going to, if Democrats are allowed to get into the Senate and the House, I believe we will finally start taking this Jeffrey Epstein investigation seriously. You know, the 3.5 million documents that haven't been released, and I understand how, oh, the Epstein stuff, that doesn't affect me, but it actually does because it destroys any faith in our institutions that are meant to hold these people accountable. And so that
Hmm.
would be one policy that I would give as an example. Another one is a public option. You know, a lot of Democrats have voiced their support for a public option, some even further universal health care, but I think that's much more like a bargaining position, so they can be at the height, so they don't have to so when they negotiate down, it can be a public option. I think healthcare is a huge issue for Americans, and that's something I would be very focused on, and I know the Democrats are focused on.
All right. So my biggest issue that I have with the current state of the Democrat Party, a lot of now I think me and yourself could probably agree on some of the let's just say, like, I don't want to go like the corporatist route, but more like the capitalist side of things. Like, I'm sure we could probably agree on some things and disagree on other things. Since you're
Yeah,
just a classic liberal, right?
yeah,
My issue is most Democrats, at least 50%, I would say, that align with the Democrat Party lean more socialist. Okay. And my issue with that is that most of these people are being sold a bill of goods. It's just a lie.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
My,
an
my,
issue I have with populism.
okay. Let's just use Trump as an example. Trump is not a conservative. He's a moderate. All right. And people that think Trump is a conservative don't understand politics, in my opinion. The reason why I say that is because there's a ton of policies that Trump has implemented that, sure, they may benefit the rich and corporations, but they are also policies that do benefit middle class and lower class. Okay.
So I think he's much more self-serving. I don't believe he has a necessarily like a coherent political ideology. I think it is in service of himself
Well, I
and
don't I don't
his
disagree that he's
family.
not a narcissist. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
anybody
yeah,
can
kind of
say that,
anybody can
sure.
see that, right? Yeah. But
So,
I I I'm not going to diminish like no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. I mean, it's not it could be a lot, that policy could be a lot better to actually incorporate a lot more, but I'm not going to knock
hmm
that does help people. But I think the erosion in our trust of institutions, the erosion of our democracy at some points, I don't think it's worth it.
and I don't disagree. I think that I just heard vaguely what was going on with the Bongino thing and how the Epstein files, he was completely pissed off at the administration for how they handled it, which I think a lot of people can agree, right? But he especially, because he put his neck out there the whole few years for a while, talking about, that these need to all be released and all this stuff. And to regain the trust of the American public, especially, I mean, people on the left can say what they want, but people on the right, they were pretty adamant about this. Okay.
Oh no, I totally agree. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I think that the politicization of all these things have driven people extreme ways on one side or the other, right?
Totally
It's dividing
agree.
people even more.
Amen.
Yeah. So again, like when I was speaking about the socialism aspect of it, the issue I have is that people don't want to live in the middle. They don't want to. They seem to not want to live in a moderate state. They seem to not want to be a centrist. They want to be either socialist or authoritarian. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah. Go on. My bad.
And I think that at the end of the day, what needs to happen is that the Democrat Party, okay, because I'm an independent, right? I live in Massachusetts. I did vote for Trump in 24, okay? The reason why I say this, like, we have to learn to, like, live in the middle and be okay with policies on either side is because policies are being driven because of lobbyists, because of things on both sides, including the Democrat Party. The DNC is a heavily lobbied organization, okay? And a lot of times, like, people on the left don't want to acknowledge that. They just want to live in this world that, we can all get free health care for everybody. Not because if lobbying is involved, that will never ever happen.
Amen. That's
Okay?
why I support the Democrats, ironically, because they support the action which would remove Citizens United, the ability for these giant PACs to donate massive amounts of money. That was all because of a case called Citizens United, which was argued in
Mhm.
front of the Supreme Court. I mean, some people don't know it, so I just,
Mhm.
but I support repealing that. I think it harms our democracy if people can spend exorbitant amounts of money to get somebody elected.
Yeah, I mean, but that goes across a ton of different avenues, healthcare, all these different industries that, especially ones that are heavily regulated, they obviously all lobby for things, and one
Yeah.
person or another each side of the political spectrum wants to align with somebody that's going to give them money. It doesn't matter. They can literally say out in public, I support X, Y, and Z, and then get money from an organization that doesn't
Yeah.
support that, and people aren't going to do the research to figure it out. But that's the problem. It's like
Yeah,
the
you're addressing
uneducated
a
public is a huge issue.
yeah, you're addressing a very big issue, and that is like people donating money into politics. And the solution I have right now is to get rid of Citizens United and ban stock trading. If we can do those two things, I do think that would restore the trust that a lot of people have lost in these previous years because of APAC, because of all of these giant corporate or giant entities set up specifically to influence our politics. And so that's why I support the Democrats, though, because I have never heard from a Republican, hey, let's get rid of Citizens United. I've never heard that. Maybe Thomas Massey might have said it at one point, but just in general, I don't see that on the Republican side.
You're talking about the politicians, not the actual voters, right?
Well, of course, I think that most voters, I have no issue with most voters are just like you and me. You know what I mean? I do
Hmm.
I criticize the politicians because those are the people that are supposed to be representing those voters, and I don't think when they take these these lobbyist money that they are representing their constituents.
Do you feel? I mean, I'm sure you probably follow different people on YouTube. Do you feel like the DSA
Oh,
groups are are a problem for the Democrat Party?
So I actually did want to address that point, the fear of socialism and stuff like that, which is understandable, especially if well, just in general, people say, communists, commie-rats, or whatever. But I want to assuage your fear a little bit because there's not many politicians that are actively socialists. You've got your Bernie, you got AOC, and besides that, I don't really see a lot of people. Mamdani in New York City, he's not a national, like, he doesn't vote in federal related stuff. In
Sure,
terms
but
of
he also
people,
needed about $4 billion just to balance the budget in New York, which people don't want to talk about.
well, it does take money to balance the budget. But let me just reassure you, most Democrats are like me. They're moderates. They do not believe
Hmm.
that a giant reconstruction of the system is needed. They believe in some social policies like SNAP, like expanding Medicaid, stuff like that. But some even aren't as extreme as me in asking for a public option. So I wouldn't worry too much about the communist and socialist. I would worry about it just as much as, Nazis and whatever getting into the Republican Party. It's a problem that we need to be vigilant against, but it's not a problem to the point where the entire Democratic Party is captured by socialism.
Well, the reason why I say that is because there's a poll that I don't remember who ran the poll, but it says apparently according to the poll, 3 in 4 Democrats favor democratic socialism, and overall it's 42% versus 46% that favor capitalism. So it's actually almost 50-50.
Well,
Okay.
so
And
that poll, it seems like it might be a little deceptive, and here's why. Of course, people don't associate socialism with what they associate communism with. And so when people hear socialism, they think more Bernie Sanders. They don't think Venezuela, right? They think
Mhm.
more AOC. They don't think like well, China or whatever. And so um that really is like the issue. I don't think they would support like seizing the means of production, for example. I think when they hear socialism, what they really hear is expanded benefits for these federal programs that help people. I don't think it's necessarily like they're thinking, let's seize the means of production and let's make everybody pay 1/10 of their. I don't think that's what they're thinking.
Well, that's still kind of what has to happen in order to fund those programs. You do need to take money from the taxpayer in order to fund those.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. The reason
Where does the money come from?
well, exactly. So the reason I'm upset with the way that Trump has led Doge and stuff is because there is some amount of fraud in our system. It's always going to exist, but I don't think Trump is really tackling them the way that he should. You should be funding the IRS because the IRS is how we find these fraudsters, and I do think money saved from that will help in partial pay for a lot of these programs. But I've said it before, I am okay with paying 50% in taxes as long as my fellow American can eat, sleep, and doesn't have to worry about health care. Now, I know that's not everybody, and I understand that. But it is going to take a little bit of effort to make sure that the people that are most vulnerable in our society aren't taken advantage of and aren't sleeping on the streets and it is going to take a little bit more, but I'm okay with that as long as I know my fellow American is not having to worry about those 3 things I mentioned earlier.
So, all right. So you say your fellow American. How do you align with the border issue?
I don't support illegal immigration.
All
I
right, good.
support I support legal immigration, but I am for opening up new pathways to become an American.
Okay. So this is all right. We I would say that a lot of let's say quote unquote new Trump supporters, people that possibly voted for Trump either in 20 or 24 that don't even align as conservative, that did vote for Trump. I think that what you're saying aligns with a lot of those people. The issue that I have is that these really radical I'm speaking about the people on YouTube. There are a lot of people on
Yeah.
YouTube that garner a pretty big following, okay? And they speak specifically about democratic socialism. Yes.
Are we talking about Hassan?
No. We're talking about Jimmy
Oh,
Snow, some
I
of these
haven't even
guys
heard.
like
The one
okay.
I know is Hassan, and I hate Hassan. I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
He's a fucking idiot.
But these people garner such a huge crowd because they push these fantastical crap ideas that don't work in reality. And what happens is people start hanging on to these things, these crumbs that they lay for people. Okay, and mind you, Hassan's going to jail, right? So
Well, I
supposedly.
don't think he's going to jail. I don't support that action. I think the best way
Okay.
to address people like Hassan is to just challenge his ideas openly and just show how idiotic some of these ideas are. And it's also like I think it's cringy as fuck when Hassan goes up here and says it's June 14th, we're living on stolen land. Like no American is gonna they hear that and they're gonna cringe the fuck out. I think the reason they're so popular though is because there is a hurt in America right now and they're taking advantage of that for their own clout. That's why it's gonna take
Yeah.
a choir of voices to stand up to both authoritarianism on both sides.
Yeah, so all right, and I totally agree with that 100%. But my point about about these other influencers is that, and I say influencers, but I mean, sure, however you want to portray them, they seem to push, like I said, this socialism, hard socialism. They say it's democratic, but it's not because they want to regulate the means of production. They
Yeah.
want to regulate all these systems, and they don't want to admit that they're borderline communists. They don't want to say that because it's a sticking point. It's a bad word, right? So my frustration is these, like you just said about people in America are hurting. Totally understand that. Totally agree, right? And they hinge on these people because they are hurting and they want things to change. And so much shit has happened in the last couple of years that, they're hurting and all this stuff. So they grab onto these people and they hold on to these people and they pull them in, thinking that this is better for you to feel radical in this way, not explaining to them what they're talking about is not democratic socialism. For instance, I just want to make a point, and then I'm sure we've been talking for too long. I don't want to keep you too long, but
Yeah.
so one of the influencers is specifically hinges on AI as part of his talking point. All right, and he says, and I don't disagree with some of the AI stuff is bad, right? The resource issue, that stuff needs to be addressed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The thing he brings up is that AI is going to take over the American industry and take jobs from all these people and yada, 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 okay? And makes it such a dramatic change to what's going on now that people get scared, right?
Exactly.
So
They run on the the fear industry.
Exactly. So people call in, people like myself. I work in an industry, a trade, that has somewhat veered towards AI, not entirely, but trying to find ways to increase production and efficiency, right? I was at an event a couple weeks ago, and they specifically talked about AI. And my trade in particular is hands-on. I have to be at a computer or be at a machine to operate the machine. I can't use a robot to do it. I can't use AI to do it. I have to manually do this job myself. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This person that I spoke to said, "Oh, he supposedly does the same type of job as I do, that a robot and AI is going to take over my job in the future. And I said, dude, you know as well as I do, that's bullshit. Because it's not. If it does happen, it isn't going to happen for the next 20 to 30 years at minimum, more than likely 40 or 50 years, if it even gets to that point. Okay.
Yeah.
So he, shoots back and says, "Oh, this in 20 years, there's going to be 40 or 50 million people that are going to be looking for work because AI." And I said, "All right, I don't work in hypotheticals, okay? Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to happen with AI, and I'm pretty sure most people agree that it needs to be regulated, okay?
Yeah.
There needs to be regulations on it. There needs to be regulations on not only AI itself, but the resources, all
I
that
think
stuff
the data collection is insane. But anyways,
Yeah.
my bad.
So with that being said, this person being a supposed democratic socialist couldn't even agree with that point. They have to stick to the whole, no, you're going to lose your job, right?
Yeah.
So people automatically get defensive and say, oh, really? I'm going to lose. And then they hinge on that. And the problem that I have is that there are so many of those people that talk like that and get people scared. They pull them into the far left ideology, okay? And then when you try to speak rational to these people and say there are things that we can do to create barriers that force politicians and force some of the lobbying and force these companies to kind of pull back a little bit, because I feel like companies, if they institute these kind of things, they are going to damage the economy, okay?
Yeah, that's why I advocate for like smarter regulations. I think there's a way to regulate AI and the data centers to where it doesn't cut into profit, but it also protects our communities,
Exactly, yes.
And that's kind of a big reason why I oppose like the big beautiful bill, because it prevented any regulation for the next 10 years on AI. It's insane. And I get it, it's up to the states and all that, but I do think having like a position from the government saying we're not going to allow you to take advantage of people, it does have meaningful implications. But no, I hear you. And to assuage, just to kind of make it, I fight against that populist, that socialist, that authoritarian type of rhetoric all the time and every day, because I agree that, there's never a quick fix solution. These things take time, and a lot of people don't want to say that because, they're hurting right now, but and that's why it is kind of the populist message wins a lot of the time, because they're selling you this false bills of goods. And so that's something that I struggle with. How do I tell people that you are noticing a valid issue, right? But the method of addressing it is not, it's not going to lead anywhere. And that's something I struggle with myself, but I do feel I get better at combating it every day. So, and I feel like the American people I think they're tired of hearing that message. Maybe they're not, but I think people want real change now. They're tired of being sold like, oh, this one quick fix is going to change everything. But
all right, for instance, right? So I think you're a pretty rational person in general. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're a liberal or whatever. I think we can have a conversation and agree to disagree a lot of things and not get angry with one another, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that Trump, let's just say this whole Iran thing is over and done with, okay? And there is this quote unquote peace deal and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
If he pulls completely out of Iran, achieves what he wanted to achieve, right, for the betterment of the American people, quote, to his, to what he thinks, let's say, his messaging, right? And gas prices start coming down, inflation starts getting even better, cost of living goes down a bit, obviously it's probably going to stay a little bit high for a bit, but what if it comes down, right? What if going towards the end of, let's say, this year into next year, things start getting better in general, okay? Do you feel, I mean, put the Epstein stuff aside. I don't want to, I hate to say that, but I'm just
I know.
speaking from
Yeah.
a cost of living standpoint, right? If things get better for the American people, how do you feel like this whole year, let's say, would be a success for the country?
No, and here's why. I think the Iran war, the military solution that has been picked for it, I don't think it's a fit. And we're seeing why. We're in a ceasefire, we're not in the shutting down of the Strait of Hormuz. This has cost a lot of economic it's cost a lot in terms of our economics. It's cost a lot in terms of our allies. That's something that's not really talked about. So I wouldn't personally see it as a win, even if he was able to enter a deal for the next 15, 20 years, whatever. I don't, because we've ceded a lot already. Our allies in the region, they're a lot more hesitant now. We didn't have that before. And so I don't really see it as a win because we did have to go through a lot of economic hardship to get something that we could have had in his first administration had he not torn up the JCPOA.
You don't think that, so this was a fairly short-term endeavor this year? You don't think that this changing in happening so quickly isn't a positive for the country? It isn't beneficial for the country, even though we did have to endure a little bit of hardship the last few months?
Well, no, because I don't think, this all hinges on, oh, the war's going to clear up overnight. And I
Sure.
I don't see where is the pullout? I don't see it because we still have Israel attacking Lebanon, which Iran has said they're not, it's a whole mess. And I don't think we needed to enter in this mess had we had some cooler heads that decided to try the diplomatic option first.
Do you not? All right. So, question: have you followed the whole UK connection with the Middle East at all?
I know the UK and the Middle East are very interlocked. I don't know much about the foreign relations between them, so not really, but
Okay. The reason why I bring that up is because so OPEC, right? So UAE leaves OPEC, right? BP, which is a huge uh, revenue stream, whatever you want to call it, for the UK, is based in the Middle East, right, in the Gulf.
mhm.
Now, my opinion with this whole thing is that I don't know if people have noticed, but the UK has been involved in a lot of dealings with the US. Like, you saw the Prime Minister come over here a few times. We sent an envoy over there to the UK a couple times. The King just showed up over here recently and spoke to the Senate and all that stuff. I think I think this is my personal opinion, but I think Trump, and I don't know if this is true, this is just speculation, but I think Trump is trying to separate the U.S. from the UK control, especially in the Middle East. And the reason why I say that is because BP was such a huge avenue for UK as far as GDP is concerned. Shutting down the strait, and I'm not saying that it was beneficial for everybody, but I think shutting down the strait constrained the UK and forced them to be involved in these negotiations. Now, the reason why I say this whole UK thing is UK has been involved in the oil trade globally for a very long time, and UK, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the Muslim Brotherhood started in the UK. They funded the Muslim Brotherhood. So they've had ties that go back all the way to the 20s and the 30s.
Well, I would have to,
All right.
I don't know much about this. I would have to look into it, the UK connections and all that. So I'll look into that. I'll make a note of it.
It's super interesting.
Yeah,
I would
I
advise
can't
anybody
speak on it
listening.
if I don't know about it, but yeah, go on.
I would advise anybody, because I mean, I'm not trying to say, I'm not saying that this is a guaranteed connection, that this is this is all speculation. But from what I gather, because the Muslim Brotherhood was obviously they were involved in a lot of deals that go back with BP and UK and the UAE and all these regulations that they put on oil, all these things, right? OPEC obviously dealing with regulations throughout the globe, global trade. I think that this had a lot to do with that, right? And whether or not it does in the long term, I don't know. Again, it's just speculation, but I think it's something people should look into, because there seems to be a little bit of a connection there.
Well, I'll look into it. Sounds interesting. But I am about to get to my news section, so I do have to head out here, brother. But I don't worry about, like, I understand your fear of these radicals on both sides taking over, and I try my hardest to fight against that. And I'm sure you do on your side. I'm sure you're not a fan of Nazis or anything like that. So
No, absolutely not.
exactly. So these types of conversations, they do give me hope for the future, because we're both, we disagree, but at the end of the day, we can still sit at the same table, and I do think that's important. But I got to get to the news, brother. So thank you so much for calling in. I thought this was a good convo.
Absolutely, man. Take care. Hopefully whoever's listening could take a little bit of heed and maybe look into the stuff we talked about. I think it'd be good and
Yeah.
educational for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Well, take care, brother.
You too. Thank you.
Yep, anytime. Peace. Hey, shout out. I don't know about the Middle East UK connections. I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah, I do feel the that the extremism on both sides is a problem for sure, and I am all about combating that. That's kind of why I started my stream, is because I saw extremism on both sides, and I said, hold on, I do not, I don't know why I'm so tired, but I do not believe in that. So anyways, guys, like I said, I do have to get to the news section of my stream, so let me get some news up for us. If you guys enjoyed the stream so far, do not forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out my channel. It gets me boosted out there in the algorithm so we can have more good conversations. And if you guys support what I do here, feel free to send a super chat or buy a membership. Both are great ways, or send a gift. All three are great ways to help support what I do out here. But yeah, I am totally for we need to turn down the temperature. And we need to stop, like, quick fix solutions are not going to solve America's problems. Like I said, it is systemic. Anyways, we got Meet the Press. Oh shoot. We've got Meet the Press today. Real quick, I do have to use the restroom, so let me go use the restroom real quick. Subscribe, because I eventually want to call in. Hey, hell yeah. Well, feel free to when I got the call-in section later today, or tomorrow I should say. Trump announces a deal with Iran has been reached. See, I feel like we've just been in this situation constantly, so No Kings America claps back at Trump's cage fight with song. Here, I'll play this, and I'm gonna go use the restroom. When I get back, we'll get into the the news. I saw a Lego Gate clip. Excuse me. Yeah, we actually have been covering the Lego scandal for a while here on the channel. I think that was just Asmon's reaction to Lego Gate. But yeah, we actually covered the Lego scandal probably right when it was getting big. I think I saw Critical cover it, and I said, we got to go over this together. So anyways, I'm going to play this MS Now piece and go use the restroom. When I get back, we will cover the news.
No King's Day protests. It also is the 80th birthday of the man those protests are aimed at. And as the country enters its 250th year, the President of the United States is marking the occasion, this is true, with a cage fight on the South Lawn of the White House. Most Americans couldn't tell you what the letters UFC stand for. And that's okay, because this event was never meant for most Americans. It is a gift to Donald Trump from Donald Trump. Only 16% of Americans called the UFC event an appropriate use of the White House, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll. But it was never about decorum. It's about power. It's about spectacle. It's about reminding everyone who is at the center of the show. The Trump administration paraded the fighters through the chamber of the Lincoln Memorial, the octagon in the middle of the South Lawn on the grounds of the People's House is lined with corporate ads, Crypto.com, Bud Light, Polymarket. American servicemen and women were told they could attend only if they passed the defense secretary's fitness test. This is power as performance, muscle, obscene wealth, and a president who needs you to watch for him. But strip it away, and what's left is a man who has to mark his territory on public institutions just to be sure we know who's in charge. Secure leaders don't need a cage on the lawn. They don't need their names bolted into public buildings either. Take the Kennedy Center. Trump's hand-picked board added his name to it. A federal judge ordered his name be taken down, ruling that Congress named the Kennedy Center and only Congress can rename it. And on Saturday, the day before his birthday party, workers climbed the scaffolding and pried his name off of the marble. The UFC fight is billed as a gift to America. But underneath, it's just another Trump.
Yo, what up, gamers? What are
Guess we're
Sorry if that was a little quiet, gamers. I didn't realize how quiet it really was. Bro, volume? I know. I just now came to it. I apologize.
It streams on Paramount, a company controlled by a Trump ally whose controversial merger was approved by the Trump administration. Trump's trust bought stock in UFC's parent company back in March. His son.
Yeah, I know. This is a huge payout scheme for all of Trump's allies. It's essentially a huge payout scheme, as always. As always, when is it ever focused on the American people?
For as much as $12,000 apiece. That is Trump's vision of America. A spectacle with a price tag. Pay to play.
Amen. And while these tense negotiations are going on, Donald Trump is just focused on the UFC match? That's insane.
Here's the real America. A year ago today, an estimated 5 million Americans filled the streets for the first No Kings protest.
Michael, Kayla is just, very much an activist for her community. You know what I mean?
I was there reporting in LA, first watching from a balcony high above downtown Los Angeles at the top of LA City Hall. I'll never forget seeing this. Moments later, I was down in the
street. And shout out to William. He sent, I wasn't able to shout him out during the conversation, but he sent a little flow state. And I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
As law enforcement and tactical gear began to close in on protesters. By October, 7 million. By this spring, organizers say it was 8 million in more than 3,000 different towns. I've been with many of you guys at all of these.
I forgot to take my pills
Again today, they're gathering and they're singing. There's an event called Rise Up, Sing Out. It's a concert for the First Amendment, where the freedoms like this administration keeps trying to choke off speech and press and assembly and the right to protest. 90 minutes on a New York stage, live streamed to hundreds of watch parties in churches and in bars.
Hey, the powerful, the power-one-ful, whatever. You better be careful. Kayla is the queen here. I hope you know that.
Living rooms.
Am I going to take calls later? Probably not. My call-in section is my call-in section is over, but I'll be live tomorrow, same time, if you want to call in, brother. or sister.
Red states and blue states, the organizers laid out the choice. Authoritarians want fear, silence, and isolation. We choose joy. We choose community. We choose people power.
Just so you know, that was not an entire pill's worth. There was one pill left in there, so don't worry, guys. I did not just down an entire bottle's worth of Adderall.
The people power has a face and a name.
When you look like that, you cannot be talking bad about others. What are you talking about, Cripping Homestead? I guarantee your ass looks like the bottom of a trash can.
This spring in Minneapolis, a city where federal agents had spent months terrorizing immigrant communities.
By the way, I'm on ultra low latency for the first time. I haven't really used the option, but I'm getting good signs. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do not forget to like and subscribe. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if that interests you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Drugger.
100,000 people marched. One of them was Miguel Hernandez. His parents came from Mexico. He owns 2 burrito shops called Lido's. And on that day, he volunteers as a marshal, helping to keep the march moving.
Wow, what a patriot. Honestly, what a patriot. Far more patriotic than any of these fake losers on the MAGA side.
That's why he showed up. Hernandez put it this way.
Yeah, Moody Spooky, you're telling me they love talking about men's looks. I don't get it. It is very homoerotic. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a MAGA talk about how I look fuckable and breedable.
I'd love for more folks to say, in the face of authoritarianism, yeah, you might risk something, but at the end of the day, you'll be helping someone. Step out of your comfort level and push back on something that will ultimately get worse if we do not.
Badass,
Real America looks like a warehouse in South Boston, Virginia, where Annan flag makers have stitched the American flag by hand since 1847. Their flags
so badass, dude.
At Lincoln's inauguration, they draped his casket. One went to the moon. On the factory floor, there's one rule: leave politics, money, and religion at the door. Marlisa Nunez, whose parents came from Mexico, says the flag means simply a better life.
God, and I hope it never. I hope it never changes, but with the way this administration rules, it gives me fear. It does, because I love this nation. It does make me uneasy when our flag is used for dictatorial actions.
That is the flags that no King's Marchers.
All right, Kayla, come on. Moody Spooky they're a homie, so don't worry. Everybody remember, Kayla is the alpha queen out here. We love you, Kayla. I hope you're doing well.
Now carry an effort, they say, to reclaim it from those who would turn it into a weapon. Real America is Barbara Greene, 92 years old, drawing on muscle memory from the movements of the 1960s. She says, quote, "I wake up every morning with a feeling of dread, wondering what the president has done or said while I was..."
Man. This isn't America, ladies and gentlemen. This is not what America has stood for. That's so sad.
Not normal. But if it is designed to make us shut up, it's not working. But not all of Real America is in the crowd today. Some are sitting this one out. For many Black Americans, and especially Black women who have carried movement after movement, that absence is a choice born of exhaustion. Neoshi Smith, a Baltimore...
Yeah, I can understand, you know. You see the Voting Rights Act get basically nuked, and how are you supposed to feel about that, you know?
Or resident, put it this way. Black women in particular continue to carry this country on our backs while not being protected, supported, or even consistently shown up for in return. We show up to vote, we build movements, We create pathways forward.
Yeah, rest in peace, Section 2, dude. Monumental piece of legislation that was just gutted by this, you know what? This illegitimate Supreme Court. I'm so sick of the legitimacy argument. This Supreme Court already is illegitimate. What basing do they have to even listen to the Supreme Court, or my bad. What basing do they even have to bring a birthright citizenship case into the Supreme Court? Fucking disgusting. Those arguments shouldn't even grace the ears of our justices. But not only are they gracing the ears of our justices, they are they're actively considering the idea. How disgusting.
And then we're often left standing alone.
My hair is dictators? Well, I don't have any, so that's kind of hard to be, I don't have any hair. Like, I got this, but I'm about to shave it off tomorrow, so.
That's not apathy. As University of Maryland professor Marcus Johnson put it, Black people are not stepping back, but it's being more intentional about engaging in politics.
Yeah, got him.
Places where you perceive your impact.
Got him.
And real America is carrying a load. 2 in 3 consumers reported living paycheck to paycheck.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. It gets me boosted out there in the algorithm so we can have some more good conversations.
Last year, according to research firm Pimmons Intelligence. 71% say healthcare is unaffordable, according to a poll from United States of Care. Gas has climbed past 4.
Yeah, this is why I talk so much about healthcare. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, talk about some other policies, but how can I not talk about my fellow American not being able to afford living? It's ridiculous.
$50 a gallon on average, while families trim grocery lists and put off doctor visits. A record 55% of Americans now say their finances are getting worse. 55%, the highest Gallup has measured since it began asking in 2001. That's worse than the Great Recession, worse than the pandemic, and 2/3 of Americans now say they are more afraid of running out of money than of dying.
Jesus, that is so sad, dude. What the hell? What the absolute hell? They should not be afraid of running out of money before death. This is just shows the flaws in our system right now. And it doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way, ladies and gentlemen. And it doesn't require this radical change that people want to convince you of. It just requires good policy and people that are willing to implement that good policy.
And the president, when asked whether the high prices factored into his decision-making about the war, this is what he said.
The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation.
God, he looks so gross right here.
I don't think about anybody.
I don't think about anybody but myself.
Days later, what did he call that? A perfect statement. He said he'd make it again.
Wow. Talk about doubling down on cringe. This dude is posting cringe to Maine. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do not forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and it helped me get out there in the algorithm. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if that interests you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Miss Sly says he hoodwinked the American people. I totally agree. He took advantage of the fact that Americans were hurting.
The president will sit ringside at his own party. The country he ostensibly leads will be somewhere else. Some of it trimming the grocery list, deciding whether a trip to the doctor can wait. Some of it will be singing, despite its worries, in the streets, in living rooms, in churches. That's the real America. All of it.
Amen. That's the America
He never asked
I
for
know.
a king or his ballroom or his
Oh, that's so cute.
gladiator matches. and it was never going to be quiet. Joining me now, co-founder and co-executive director of the Indivisible Project, Leah Greenberg. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
You're calling this a concert for the First Amendment. It's just down the street here on 43rd Street. Why did you choose this framing for this year's protest?
Well, we're really proud as Indivisible and across the No Kings Coalition to partner with the Committee for the First Amendment, led by Jane Fonda and a really extraordinary team of artists, activists, singers, and actors across the entertainment.
She's a little nervous. I understand. Hey, being on MS now, just I am very protective over my community. If it comes down to put my life down, oh yeah, of course, Kayla. We all know that you're amazing, Kayla. We love you out here.
Sector, and they had this vision of putting on a concert that would actually really articulate the values that are under attack right now from this administration. And so for us, this moment was about trying something new, right? We've proven that we can put millions and millions of people in the streets with literally historic numbers time and again. We also want to take that energy and invest it in local community, invest it in community building, invest it in enjoying and having fun with each other, invested in building the kinds of structures and infrastructure that is necessary for the long haul for our activism.
And I have to tell you, it has been incredible to be out there, just purely the feeling of being with people. I talked about it yesterday. Over the course of the last year, I think I've been to every one of them. And I wonder, for you, a year after the first No Kings protest, what do you think has changed other than the numbers continuing to grow?
Well, I think so much has changed about the national environment, in part because
I do think America is a lot more receptive
of these as narrative interventions. Early last year, what we were seeing was so much of American society was folding in, obeying in anticipation of Donald Trump. They were collapsing to a would-be dictator. They were kind of assuming that he was going to consolidate power, and they
Yeah, No Kings is still a thing. What are you talking about? The last protest they had was record numbers. I went to my last No Kings protest, and I live in a small shit town.
With media institutions, with corporations and billionaires, and with a lot of Democratic politicians as well, not to mention Republicans. And what we've seen over the last year, as millions and millions of people have come out and shown up in the streets, is that we've punctured that aura of inevitability, the sense that Donald Trump is inevitable, that he is going to consolidate power, that he's going to rule over us unchallenged. And
dude, fuck yes. I love this. I'm so... These people kind of look like me, younger. So, Anthony, 80% of Democrats don't say that. Oh, okay. My bad.
And we've demonstrated that there's a powerful counterforce to him everywhere in the country, from the reddest areas to the bluest areas.
What does it mean to you personally, this anniversary?
I did take my Trump hat down from my car. Well, exactly, Miss Sly. Hey, don't worry. I understand. Like, if you voted for Donald Trump, I don't hate you. I don't.
Well, I'm proud. I'm proud to be part of a movement of millions of people. I think.
And also, I did want to mention, I'm glad this woman looks like me. Like, obviously not physically, but she is my, she looks like she's my age. And I'm so happy to finally see people fighting for our country.
Some of the darkest and most horrifying actions in a long time from our government over the last year and a half, but we've also seen an incredible movement of people from Minneapolis to small towns across the country collectively saying, we're going to stand up, we're going to push back, we're going to fight for our neighbors, we're going to fight for our democracy. And so
ADHD Mech, that's because you're a fan. Don't lie.
It's watching something really very evil rise up and be met with something very good. And that's what today is about for us.
The sense that I get was a year ago today.
Wolf Boy, your name literally evokes the images of gay wolf furry porn. So please stop.
There was a real despondency. And as Senator Padilla said to me earlier in our broadcast, people were reacting to things that they were seeing playing out almost in the moments before people took to the streets. a lot of these protests feel a lot more joyous despite the circumstances as far as I've felt them on the streets. Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. And we've been trying to lean into that in this moment. And that's
Amen, Lee Young.
not because there is
Touche, but neither of us are wrong. Well, I'll admit I did wear hats as a child, but I don't think that that's the reason for my hairline. Unfortunately, I have had tests where I have a little too much testosterone in my system. I think that's probably more the reason, but
not enormous harm and enormous fear that is still rightfully out there, but it is because we recognize that one of the things that authoritarians try to do is they try to grind you down. They try to make you feel hopeless. They try to make you feel like you don't have any power. And one of the ways that we fight back against that is not by feeding their bait, feeding their incitements of outrage, but by leaning into community together.
exactly. Yeah, Trump is a total fraud, and I'm so happy to see a rejection of this extremist agenda. Anyways, we did see, I did want to watch a little bit of Meet the Press. I already watched Hakeem Jeffries. James Lankford, not really too interested. And Raphael Warlock, yeah, never mind. I thought the Meet the Press would be a little better. Okay. Trump loses it over weather at the UFC fight. Honestly, I'll probably watch this and probably head out of here. You know, it's been a great night and I appreciate it, but I'm very hungry, I won't lie. I need to start eating. You watched Meet the Press earlier? How was it? Trump sucks, amen.
You know things are grim when the White House begins lashing out.
Oh my God, look at this man, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, what's up, WTF? Good to see you, man.
The weather. With Donald Trump's big UFC event being threatened by a miserable forecast, the Weather Channel tweeted, UFC Freedom 250 is facing a chaotic weather setup on the White House South Lawn with a 60% chance of thunderstorms, heavy downpours, and wind gusts up to 34 miles per hour, threatening to delay the outdoor fights. On top of the storm risk, brutal DC humidity is driving a triple-digit heat index.
All right, I thought so. Michael, you're just a shithead, so please go shit somewhere else. We don't like you here.
Alongside massive swarms of mosquitoes and gnats that fighters will have to battle inside the cage. While the venue's massive 92-foot overhang will keep the octagon dry, a single lightning strike within 8 miles will trigger an automatic 30-minute freeze on the entire event. To which the White House responded, quote, "This event is about celebrating America's unmatched greatness after 250 years, which apparently doesn't sit well with the friendless loser who wrote this bullshit clickbait headline."
Whoa, what the fuck? Whoa, holy shit, man. Calm down. Somebody pissed. Yeah, God's trying to stop the UFC match.
Country, no matter what. God bless America. Clickbait headline? The Weather Channel was forecasting the weather. It is their whole job. Why are you...
Bro, that is so insane. Imagine getting pissed off at the Weather Channel for telling the weather.
Attacking the Weather Channel for telling us what the weather is going to be. Although,
That's insane. That is an insane response, bro. Holy shit.
An administration that...
Robert, Biden in Afghanistan was, that's Trump's fault, buddy. You realize he's the one that signed that deal. Anyways, who runs the Weather Channel? God, it must be I mean, apparently to the people that responded to that, fucking Nancy Pelosi and fucking Bernie Sanders, apparently.
Once tried to literally rewrite the weather with a Sharpie.
It was going to be hitting directly, and that would have affected a lot of other states. But that was the original chart
So I suppose disagreeing with the weather is more of a feature, not a
Yeah,
bug
it's
of
the
this White House.
Chinese, I guess.
Just a quick note here to say that if you appreciate my work, which is and always will be 100% free, a small ask is if you
Yeah, okay, if you need an explanation, I got you. So during Trump met with the Taliban and negotiated a deal to pull out of Afghanistan. And that deal was signed by the time Biden, like the deal was signed for when Biden pulled out.
you could please pre-order my new book, The Day After, which explores how Democrats must finally wield power if they're fortunate enough to get it back.
I've been meaning I am going to order that book.
I'll
What's
also
wrong
be
with
on-
the Weather Channel? Well, according to Trump, they're writing clickbait headlines. Release the Epstein files. Amen. Amen.
Tour in DC, New York, and LA mid-July. You can grab tickets to the tour and you can pre-order the book at the same link, which I'll put on the screen and in the post description of this video.
That's okay. The Taliban already knew when they were coming out. The Taliban already knew day and time. You realize that, right? It was in the deal that they signed. No, it was bungled because Trump knew that whoever inherited the Afghanistan pullout after his absolute fuck up. And there we go. Biden could have changed it. Oh, so we should go back on our word. That's great.
You can also find them at Brian.
Yeah, Robert. Like, why would we? You realize how pissed off people would be if they did that.
And TylerCohen.com/book. Again, I'll never paywall a single piece of content, but this is the one time that I'll ask for some support for a book that I really think meets this moment. Thanks so much. But I just want to take a step back here because I don't want to fall into the trap of normalizing the lunacy that we're contending with right now. It is not normal to turn the White House grounds into a circus for the God King's entertainment. And look, I'm not a prude who thinks that mixed martial arts is beneath us. I wrestled for 10 years. I love combat sports.
Amen.
Some of my best memories of my
Henry.
entire life were winning championships with my wrestling team.
Sorry, man. Biden is the blame on that one. See, you just don't understand the deal and what was agreed to in the Afghanistan deal that Trump signed.
But it is not the government's job to host human cockfighting because the
Trump was going to give even more. Are you joking? Oh, man.
God King wants entertainment. This isn't Rome and the Colosseum.
I don't care what we agreed to with the Taliban. Then why did Donald Trump shake the hands of a terrorist if we didn't care? No, it seemed like we did care about what those terrorists thought. I think they should have been rooted out and extinguished, rightfully so. But because Trump is such a pussy and he's so afraid of having a bad headline.
And more importantly, we've got people in this country who are hurting, who can't afford
Who messed it up? Trump, dude.
Food or healthcare or housing. And the message being sent.
Feel like you speculate a lot? Go look at the deal. I have looked at the deal, my friend.
To them right now is that Trump is more focused.
Biden couldn't do anything? Bro, what are you? This is cope right here. I gave you a fact that your news stations didn't tell you, and you're soiling out about it. You look like J.D. Vance's brother. I'm J.D. Advance, not J.D. Vance. Although I can understand how, you might be mistaken. But no, I am J.D. Advance.
On hosting blood sports in his front lawn than helping anyone else.
Far be it from me to call you a liar. I agree.
And don't take it from me, take it from Americans.
What was the date? What was the pullout date that was agreed upon between the Taliban and the United States? You should look it up. What was the agreed upon date between Trump and the Taliban?
Let's just say this much. They do not like it. They don't like it. I like UMR, but Americans don't find this thing to be appropriate. Take it here. Take a look here.
Oh, whoa! A 16% approval rating? Oh, man.
UFC White House fights are appropriate. Just 16%. Just 16% overall.
No, you're wrong, my friend. Oh,
And
man, I
among
love that.
Republicans, even among Republicans, you know, the diehard base Republican Party, which
16%? That's
Trump threw 16
insane.
Just 31% of Republicans. His approval rating amongst Republicans overall, as you know, usually hovers a little bit north of 80%. So we're talking 50 points lower here. And, you know, this overall, you know, being 16%, you know.
I don't bother with the stock. It's too high. I agree. You know, if anybody wants to get into the stock market, don't do day trading. Don't do day trading. It's not worth it. Just invest in index funds and don't. It's not worth it. Like this day trading it's not gonna work. You're gonna get tricked or the market knows more than you. Okay, that's how I.
What is it, like 28% of Americans, you know, believe in telepathy? So this
Amen,
is even below
Melissa.
that.
Does this fall into a broader pattern with the White House and voters' minds?
Yeah.
Please tell me your source. What? I don't need the document that was signed between Donald Trump and the Taliban. That is my source.
I think this is the big problem here, Omar, which is, you know, Americans just don't.
I mean, Anthony, you can do that, but I just recommend invest in index funds. The S&P 500 is a safe bet, or a lot of brokerage accounts will offer their own indexes to invest in. I just do that. It's not. You don't have to try to game the system.
Think that Donald Trump and this White House is in touch with them because, you know, they put on stuff like that Americans don't really care about. Take a look here. Say the White House is out of touch with people like you.
Yeah, and ADHD mech. That's why I say. That's why I say just invest, because most indexes are already invested into those. Trump didn't set a date. Oh, so he didn't give a time limit for when we pulled out, right? He didn't do that at all.
60% overall. We're talking about 3 in 5 Americans. And look among independents. 80% of independents say that.
All right, Rob, are you a licensed financial advisor? Fallacy. Yeah, Rob, are you a licensed financial advisor? I am. I'm wondering if you are.
The White House is out of touch with people like them. So all of a sudden you have a White House that is potentially putting on events such as this UFC fights. And, you know, Americans' top issue is inflation. And what's Trump's net approval rating on that? Like minus 50? And you go to yourself, okay,
I love Emmy, by the way. Emmy, the fire you bring is fun. Hey, what's up, Steph? Good to see you.
No on the UFC fights, and then you put it together with what they actually care about. No wonder that the American people say 60% say the White House is out of touch with people like them, and 80% of independents.
I mean, it's a big push. Why do you think Trump loves the UFC so much?
Yeah, okay. You know, we've seen Donald Trump go to these UFC fights before, right? We see that there may be UFC fights, you know, on the White House lawn come this weekend. And, you know, it's because the UFC and MMA is a safe space. It is a safe space. It's a nice place. It's warm and lovely for the President of the United States. Party ID league among fans of MMA. Look at this. Republicans hold the lead among MMA fans. Look at that, plus 14 versus
soccer, NBA. I'd be interested to see what football brings, because football, it's pretty diverse, actually.
For the president. Look at that. Democrats hold the party ID lead there of plus 12. And we know that Donald Trump was booed at the Garden. Look at that.
The 500? Yeah, I agree, Anthony. The S&P 5, if you want a safe bet, the S&P 500 is the way to go.
Democrats hold a 28-point lead on fans of the NBA.
16% approve of this, and only 31% of Republicans. If there is that much disapproval here, the fact that
hey, shout out to
Trump
Steph
is barreling ahead with it anyway is a testament to the fact that this president does not give a flying fuck about regular people. He is in it for himself, which isn't exactly.
Is this guy legit gay? No, I'm bisexual. Sorry, I'm more of a man and willing to admit my sexuality, unlike you. Your name is... Hold on. Is your name literally E-Boy? And you're calling me gay?
Surprise. It's why he spent his presidency building himself a ballroom, buying himself a jet, repaving the Rose.
See, Wolf Boy, instead of hurling insults and soying out like you did there, I don't need to do that. I've got the facts on my side. You didn't mention a single fact there. You were just soying out.
Garden for himself, slapping his own name onto the Kennedy Center, putting banners with his own face on the side of government buildings, trying to build himself a new arch and
I wasn't even insulting you. Okay. Who were you asking who was legit gay? Yes, I'm bisexual. You can understand how, like, that sounds like a charged statement, right? My apologies. I didn't mean to burst forward and hurt your feelings.
on and on. Which
That makes it sound rude. I really didn't mean to hurt, you know.
Disqualifying enough unto itself. But even worse, given the fact that his entire pitch to voters on the campaign trail was that he would finally usher in an America First agenda. He would finally...
Oh, so wait, Robert, what you're saying there, no, it is an insult. Stop. You're not holier than thou. Hey, $5 from Steph. Joe Biden's evil weather manipulation machine back at it again. I know. Oh, I'm so sick of Joe Biden. Oh. That's your average conservative, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm so sick of Joe Biden. Oh, I really want to kill him. Oh, I'm so mad my wife won't fuck me. Sorry. Oh, I'm so angry about Joe Biden. Sorry.
Focus on the little guy, the forgotten people. Apparently that meant cutting healthcare and food assistance for the most vulnerable while boosting his own net worth $4 billion fucking dollars.
I thought you controlled the weather, Shavila. I thought so.
Real populist champion we've got there. And what's worse, we can expect it from Trump. This guy has been conning people his entire life. This is who he is at his core, from stiffing contractors.
Yeah, that's definitely what liberals think conservative. No, that is what they act like, bro. I swear to God. Joe Biden derangement syndrome. That is the real syndrome. And any bad faith like MAGA that call in now, I am totally using their... You guys saw it yesterday. I'm going to use their tactics against them. Joe Biden!
To wasting billions of taxpayer dollars on his own birthday celebrations year after year. But the rest of the GOP lets him. And they have the power as a co-equal branch of government to serve as a check on him.
Trump is president because people weren't mature and responsible enough to research the candidates. I agree.
But they won't. They are all so collectively chicken shit that they...
By the way, we've got 495 votes on the poll. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. And we're up to 58 likes. Holy... That is a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Especially because, you know, I'm just covering the news right now. Kamala would have been 1,000 times better, dude.
Refuse to lift a finger to stop him. Every single one of them. They are there to serve their constituents.
Let me get Steph
they've
on
contracted
there.
every ounce of their power over to dear leader because their only actual allegiance, their only actual loyalty is to him. And yet, that is the perfect microcosm of today's GOP. A bunch of spineless sycophants who dutifully bow at the altar of Trump, the emperor who has no clothes, who needs to watch blood sport from his perch on high while the rest of the country burns. These people
I know. I think it's funny. He wants to watch a bunch of naked dudes fight. By the way, there is something weird that I noticed with YouTube, and I don't know if this is like it could have just been, you know, one, but it did flag one of my videos at first. I had to re-up. It flagged one of my videos for containing sensitive content. It was just the short, my most recent short. So I don't know what that's about, but maybe it was just a false flag, but it said it was manually reviewed. I don't know what that means, man. Like it seems to me like that seems like favoritism, dude. Like I can't talk about my political ideology or anything without being flagged. That's horrible.
Just lose in November, the entire fucking political
Trump
party
won and will do anything he wants. Yeah, this guy just wants an emperor.
should be relegated to the trash heap of
Yeah, I agree. It was really, I don't get it, but
history. And today's UFC match on the White House lawn is a testament to exactly why.
All right, guys, that was our home dog, Brian Tyler Cohen. We love Brian Tyler Cohen. He's very smart man. Anyways, guys, I am going to be getting out of here. Usually I like to go for another hour, but I'm pretty hungry right now. So I'm going to go eat something, and I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. CST. Hey, thank you so much, Joe Blow. I appreciate that. Corpse Mankind, I swear to God, you have like crazy position. Like you'll be advocating for the bourgeoisie to fall on one point, and now you're talking about gender mutilation on children. What the fuck? Anyways, I don't think this poll is very representative, but a lot of people think Eric Trump would win, and I think we can solve that if Eric Trump wasn't such a pussy and accepted Hunter Biden's offer to fight him on the UFC mat. If you guys didn't know, Hunter Biden has an outstanding offer right now to fight either one of the Trump siblings. That's all I'm saying. You know, at least Hunter has the smoke. At least Hunter has the smoke. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for supporting what I do here. You guys are absolutely badass. Hunter Biden celebrated 7 years sober. However, he has learned how to shitpost, much like the president, and I'm here for it. Fucking men, dude. Anyways, with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much. Let me shout out all the people that donated today, because you guys deserve a shout out. Dylan Thompson renewed his membership for 2 months, so thank you. And that's in the Elite Gamers Club. If you want to join the Elite Gamers Club, consider buying a membership. And then finally, Steffelson sent a $5 donation saying Joe Biden's evil weather manipulation machine is back at it again. And I'm sick of this manipulated weather. Why is he sending tornadoes towards me? Anyways, guys, you guys are the best. I tell you that all the time. But without further ado, I have to get out of here, go eat some food, refuel. Talking to MAGA it's a drain on the old brain. But anyways, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Let's dance a little bit. Actually, tomorrow, hold on, I do have an announcement. Tomorrow, me and Ivy are going to have a makeup stream, so get excited for that. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. When? It'll be at 10 a.m. I know, Emmy. It'll be at 10:30 a.m. I know, that's not the, but you'll be able to catch the VOD. 10:30 a.m. CST, ladies and gentlemen. I know, I'm sorry, Emmy. I wish I could do it later at the night, but unfortunately I can't. All right, love you guys. Have a great day.